Long ago, in a time when the galaxy trembled beneath the weight of endless war, there lived a warrior whose name was whispered with both reverence and terror. They say this warrior commanded fleets that blotted out the stars. They say entire worlds knelt before them, not out of fear alone, but something deeper, something that felt almost like destiny. But here is where the tale grows strange, my friends. For this warrior, this legend carved into the very bones of history, would one day wake aboard a dying ship with no memory of who they were, no recollection of the battles they had won, the armies they had led, or the darkness they had embraced. The galaxy remembered them. The Force itself remembered them, but they remembered nothing. Imagine it. You open your eyes to the sound of hull breaches and screaming metal. Blaster fire echoes through corridors painted red by emergency lights. A stranger dies protecting you, calling you friend, yet you cannot recall ever meeting them before. And somewhere in the depths of your mind, something ancient stirs. A voice that feels like your own, yet not, a shadow of who you once were, reaching through the fog of stolen memories. Who were you before the Jedi erased everything? What truth are they hiding behind their gentle smiles and careful words? And most terrifying of all, when you finally remember, will you wish you had stayed forgotten? Tonight, we journey into one of the greatest mysteries the Old Republic ever buried, a tale of redemption and damnation, of heroes and monsters, of the thin line between the two. This is the story of how the galaxy's savior became its greatest threat, and how one mind-wiped soldier would decide the fate of trillions. Before we begin this epic journey through the Old Republic, I need to share something. About 62% of you watching right now haven't subscribed yet, and honestly, your subscription helps me create more of these deep dives into the Star Wars galaxy. So if you enjoy falling asleep to these legendary tales, hit that subscribe button. It truly makes a difference. And take a moment to like this video if you're excited for over 3 hours of Knights of the Old Republic lore. I always love reading your comments about where you're listening from and what time it is in your corner of the galaxy. Knowing that someone in Tokyo is drifting off to sleep while someone in London is just starting their day, all of us connected by these ancient Star Wars stories, that's something special. Now, get comfortable, dim your lights, adjust your pillows, maybe turn on a fan for that gentle background noise, pull those blankets close, and let's step back 4,000 years before the rise of the Empire, to a time when the Jedi were not yet legends, and the Sith were very, very real. The year is 3956 before the Battle of Yavin, though you do not know this yet. You do not know much of anything, really. Names, dates, places, they all swim in your mind, like distant stars viewed through hyperspace. They're but untouchable, familiar but unknown. What you do know is this. You are aboard the Endar Spire, a Republic warship, and it is dying. The ship groans around you, a wounded beast crying out in its death throes. Metal shrieks against metal as bulkheads tear open somewhere deep in the lower decks. The gravity plating flickers, making your stomach lurch as the artificial weight shifts and stabilizes, a rhythm like a failing heartbeat. Red emergency lighting bathes everything in the color of blood and warnings. Somewhere, an automated voice repeats the same phrase over and over. All hands to escape pods. All hands to escape pods. Hull breach imminent on decks 4 through 7. You stumble into consciousness in your quarters, or what you think are your quarters. The room is small, utilitarian, the bunk behind you still warm from your body heat. How long were you asleep? Minutes? Hours? Your head pounds with a pain that feels older than this attack, deeper than any wound. The door hisses open and a man bursts through, Republic uniform crisp despite the chaos, blaster rifle in hand. He is young, perhaps your age, with a kind of face that has seen combat but not yet learned to fear it. His eyes find yours, and relief floods his features. Trask Olgo. The name comes to you without effort, though you cannot remember learning it. He is your friend, your companion. These facts exist in your mind like solid ground beneath your feet, unquestioned, simply true. We have to move, he shouts, over the groan of tortured metal. The Sith came out of nowhere. We are taking heavy fire. Starboard side is completely gone. Main batteries are offline. He tosses you a blaster, and your hands catch it with a familiarity that surprises you both. You handle the weapon like someone who has held 1,000 just like it. Your fingers find the safety, check the charge, adjust the grip, all without thinking. Trask notices. He pauses just for a heartbeat, and something flickers across his face. Confusion? Recognition? But there is no time to ask, because the deck lurches violently beneath your feet. The lights go out completely, plunging you into absolute darkness. Then the emergency lights return, dimmer now, struggling. The ship shudders again, closer this time. The Sith are breaching the hull. You have to reach the escape pods. You have to survive. But as you follow Trask into the corridor, as blaster fire illuminates the smoke-filled passages ahead, something whispers in the back of your mind. A feeling, a certainty. You have been in situations like this before, many times before. You have fought through burning ships and impossible odds, and you have won. But you cannot remember when. You cannot remember how. And that absence, that void where your past should be, terrifies you more than the Sith ever could. The escape pod tears through the upper atmosphere of Taris like a meteor falling in reverse. Inside, you and Carthonasi brace against the violent shaking, watching through the viewport as the Endar spire breaks apart above you. Pieces of the ship, some as large as buildings, tumble through the thin air, leaving trails of fire and smoke. Trask Olgo is not with you. Trask Olgo will never be with anyone again. He died so you could live. A Sith warrior in dark armor, wielding twin crimson lightsabers, had blocked your path to the pods. Trask pushed you forward, told you to run, and engaged the Sith alone. You heard the clash of blades behind you. You heard Trask scream. Then you heard nothing at all. The pods retrockets fire, and the descent slows just enough that the crash into a Tarisian apartment complex feels survivable rather than fatal. Metal crumples, transperistal cracks, then stillness. Carth is first out, blaster drawn, scanning the cramped apartment you've invaded. The residents are long gone, either fled or dead, their belongings scattered across the floor like forgotten memories. He is older than Trask was, maybe 40 standard years, with the kind of weathered face that comes from seeing too much and trusting too little. His Republic uniform bears the insignia of a decorated pilot, but his eyes carry something heavier than medals. "We need to move," he says. Not looking at you. The Sith will be sweeping for survivors. We find Bastila Shan. We get off this rock, we rejoin the fleet. Simple. You ask who Bastila Shan is. Carth stares at you like you have asked what oxygen is. Battle meditation Jedi, he explains slowly. Without her, the Republic loses this war. She was on the Endai spire with us. If she is alive, she is our only priority. Through the apartment's grimy window, you see Taris for the first time in the light of day. The city stretches endlessly in every direction, a canyon of metal and permacrete rising kilometers into a polluted yellow sky. Skyscrapers built upon older skyscrapers, built upon ancient foundations that no one remembers constructing. Swoop bikes and speeders zip between buildings at dizzying speeds. Holographic advertisements flicker and pulse, selling dreams to people who can barely afford food. This is the upper city, Carth tells you. Rich folks. Sith collaborators. Mostly, they get sunlight, clean water, actual meat, instead of that synthetic garbage. We need to blend in, gather information, stay invisible. But Taris is not built for invisibility. It is a world of stratification made literal. The wealthy live in the towers closest to the sky. The middle class occupies the levels below, further down past the reach of natural light. The lower city festers with gang violence and poverty, and beneath that, sealed away behind energy fields and locked doors, the undercity sprawls in perpetual darkness, home to mutants and outcasts, and things that used to be human. You spend the first day searching. The upper city cantina becomes your base of operations. Here, information flows as freely as the cheap ale. You learn that the Sith have occupied Taris, turning the entire planet into a massive blockade. No ship leaves without their permission. Hundreds of escape pods from the Endar Spire rain down across the city levels. The Sith are hunting survivors. Quarantine zones have been established. Aliens are being harassed, beaten, sometimes killed. The occupation has given permission for humanity's ugliest impulses to flourish. In a corner booth, a Twi'lek is being harassed by two Sith soldiers. They mock her Leku, call her slave, threaten worse. Koth puts a hand on your arm when you start to rise. "Not our fight," he hisses. "We cannot afford attention." But you go anyway. Something in you refuses to watch injustice happen without response. The Sith soldiers are drunk enough to be brave and stupid. They reach for their weapons. You are faster. Your blaster appears in your hand with a speed that surprises you, trained on the closer soldier's chest before he can clear leather. The Twi'lek uses the distraction to disappear into the crowd. The soldiers back off, muttering threats they lack the courage to follow through on. Koth is furious. "You could have gotten us killed," he snaps. "You do not even know how to use that thing properly." Except you do. The evidence is in how you handled the weapon, in the speed of your draw, in the certainty of your aim. You know how to fight. Your body remembers even if your mind does not. The next lead comes from a man named Gadon the Kek, leader of the Hidden Beck's swoop gang. He operates from the lower city, that middle realm between wealth and absolute destitution. Getting there requires descending through elevator shafts and security checkpoints, leaving behind the artificial sunlight for the permanent twilight of neon signs and flickering street lamps. The lower city is louder, dirtier, more alive than the sterile upper levels. Here humans and aliens mix freely, united by poverty and survival. Swoop bikes scream through the corridors at suicidal speeds, racing for pride and credits. Gangs mark their territory with graffiti and violence. The Hidden Becks control the eastern sectors. The Black Vulkars hold the west. Between them, a Cold War threatens to turn hot at any moment. Gadon the Cake is old for a gang leader, gray-haired and scarred, but his eyes are sharp. He knows what you want before you ask. "The Jedi woman," he says. "Bastila Shan. She survived the crash. My scouts found her pod in the Undercity. We were going to retrieve her ourselves." "Will you repeat?" "The Vulkars got to her first. Their leader, Brejik, he is holding her as some kind of prize, planning to present her to the Sith. Curry favor." Gadon shakes his head in disgust. "She is being held in their base, but there is no way you are fighting through there. Too many guards, too well armed." "Then how?" Koth asks. "The swoop races," Gadon replies. "Brejik has entered Bastila as the prize for their annual death race. Winner gets the Jedi. It is barbaric, but it is the only chance you have. I can get you into the race if you retrieve something for me first. Our prototype accelerator. Vulkars stole it. Get it back, and I will give you the best swoop bike on Taris." The mission takes you deeper into the lower city than you intended to go. You acquire help from unexpected sources. Mission Vow is a 14-year-old Twi'lek girl with more street smarts than most adults you have met. She grew up in the lower city, knows its rhythms and dangers. Her best friend is Zalbar, a Wookiee who stands over 2 meters tall and communicates in rumbling growls that Mission translates with casual ease. "Zalbar owes me a life debt. Mission explains cheerfully. He will do anything I say. Anything I say includes helping you two Republic types break into Volcar territory. The four of you become a unit born of necessity. Mission knows the back routes and hidden passages. Zalbar provides muscle when negotiation fails. Karth offers tactical expertise, and you do discover that combat flows through you, like water finding a path downhill. Blaster fire becomes a language you speak fluently. Your movements in a fight are economical, precise, almost artistic. Karth notices. "Where did you learn to shoot like that?" he asks. "One night after you clear a Volcar ambush with barely a scratch." You do not know. That is the problem. You do not know anything. The accelerator retrieval goes smoothly until it does not. Volcar enforcers corner you in their garage, dozens of them armed with blaster rifles and vibro swords. The fight is brutal and close. You take a graze across the ribs that burns like fire. Mission nearly dies when a Gamorrean guard gets too close. Zelbar tears the creature's arm off in response, roaring his fury. But you get the accelerator. You get back to Garden, and he keeps his word. The swoop bike he provides is a masterpiece of barely legal engineering. Massive engines, minimal safety features, designed for one purpose only: speed. Pure, reckless, suicidal speed. You have 1 week to practice before the race. 1 week to learn how to pilot a machine that can go from 0 to 500 kilometers per hour in under 3 seconds. 1 week before you bet your life and Bastila's freedom on your ability to control a rocket with handlebars. Karth thinks you are insane. Mission thinks you are brave. Zalbar grunts something that could mean either. You climb onto the bike for the first time, feel the engine's vibration travel through your bones, and something clicks. Muscle memory floods back. You have done this before, or something very much like it. Your hands know where to grip. Your body knows how to lean into the turns. On the day of the race, the lower city gathers to watch. Volkers and Bakes, humans and aliens, everyone united in their hunger for blood sport. The track is a nightmare of tight corners, sudden drops and acceleration pads that can break your spine if hit wrong. 3 other racers line up beside you. They look professional. They look experienced. The starting light blinks red, 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 green. You become speed itself. The bike screams beneath you. The world blurs into streaks of color and light. Wind tears at your clothes. The track rushes up to meet you at velocities that should kill. But you do not die. You accelerate. You take corners at angles that defy physics. You hit every boost pad perfectly, feeling the G-forces crush you back into the seat. You win, not by a little, by a lot. Brejik does not take it well. He refuses to honor the bet, calls you a cheater, signals his gang. Suddenly, you are surrounded by 50 Volkers with weapons drawn. This was always going to be a trap. Then Bastila Shan ignites her lightsaber, a brilliant yellow blade that cuts through the dim lower city gloom like a sun being born, and everything changes. Bastila Shan is not what you expected. Young, perhaps your age, with the kind of classical beauty that would seem fragile if not for the absolute certainty in her eyes. Her brown hair is pulled back in a practical style. Her Jedi robes are torn and stained from the crash, but she wears them with dignity. The yellow lightsaber in her hand hums with barely contained energy. She moves like water and lightning combined. A Vulcan rushes her with a vibroblade. She sidesteps, her blade severing the weapon and the hand holding it in one fluid motion. Another attacker fires a blaster. She deflects the bolt back into his chest without seeming to try. 3 more gang members charge together. She spins her lightsaber drawing arcs of light, and they fall. You and your companions join the fight. It becomes a running battle through the Vulcar base, fighting toward the exits. Karth's blaster barks steadily, each shot finding its mark. Zalbar swings a Wookiee bowcaster that hits with the force of a small explosion. Mission darts through the chaos, too small and fast to catch, her holdout blaster picking off targets of opportunity. And Bastila fights like the Force given human form. She does not just deflect attacks, she predicts them, moving into position seconds before the enemy strikes. This is battle meditation in miniature, that legendary Jedi ability to coordinate allies and demoralize foes through the Force itself. You feel it touching your mind, gentle as a thought, guiding your aim, steadying your hand. You burst out of the Vulkar base into the lower city streets. Garen's Beks provide covering fire, grateful to see their enemy's stronghold raided. The retreat becomes a mad dash through alleyways and maintenance tunnels, pursued by angry Vulkars and increasingly interested Sith patrols. Bastila leads you to where Mission knows a way into the Undercity, the lowest level of Taris, the place where the city's outcasts are sealed away to die slowly in the dark. "We cannot go down there," Carth protests. "The Rakulu plague, the mutants, it is a death sentence." "Better than the alternative," Bastila says, and she is right, because behind you the Sith are closing in with military precision. The door to the Undercity is locked, rusted, covered in warning signs about quarantine and contamination. Zalbar tears it open anyway, his Wookiee strength making mockery of human engineering. The smell that wafts up from below is indescribable, rot and waste and things long dead. You descend into absolute darkness. The Undercity is hell rendered in metal and stone. No light reaches here except what you bring. The illumination from your flashlights reveals a nightmare landscape of collapsed buildings and refuse pits. Water drips constantly from somewhere above, toxic runoff from the inhabited levels. Things skitter in the shadows just beyond your vision. Then you hear them. The Rackles, moaning, scraping, dragging themselves toward the light. They were human once. The plague took that away, twisted them into something else. Hairless, pale, hunched creatures with claws like knives and mouths full of jagged teeth. One bite transmits the infection. One bite, and you become what they are. The first wave hits hard and fast. Bastila's lightsaber illuminates the battle in strobing flashes of yellow. You see a Rakul's face in the light, see the mindless hunger there, the complete absence of anything that used to be a person. You fire until your blaster overheats. Carth swears steadily as he reloads. Zalbar roars and tears and breaks. Mission screams but keeps fighting. You survive, barely. The Rakuls retreat, driven back by the lightsaber's light and the smell of their own dead. In the silence that follows, Bastila finally looks at you properly. Her eyes narrow. She reaches out with the Force, and you feel something brush against your mind. A touch as intimate as a kiss, as invasive as a violation. She gasps and pulls back. "Who are you?" she asks. You give your name. The one you remember, the one you think is real. She shakes her head slowly. "There is something about you, something in the Force. I cannot quite see it, but it is there, strong, very strong. Have you had Jedi training?" You tell her no. You tell her you do not remember having any training at all. You tell her about the gaps in your memory, the skills you possess without knowing how you learnt them. Bastila studies you for a long moment. "Then we must get you to the Jedi Council on Dantooine. They will know what to do. First we have to get off Taris." Carth reminds everyone, the Sith blockade is absolute. No ship leaves orbit without authorization codes. We do not have. Mission perks up. "I know a guy, Davik Kang, crime lord, has a ship fast enough to break the blockade. The Ebon Hawk, best freighter in the Outer Rim." "Davik Kang does not loan ships," Carth says flatly. "So we steal it," Mission replies with a grin. "The plan is insane. Davik's estate is a fortress in the upper city, guarded by mercenaries and automated defenses. But Bastila agrees there is no other choice. The Sith are tightening their search grid. Every hour you remain on Taris, the chances of capture increase. You need help. You need a way inside. You need someone who knows Davik's operation. You find that someone in a Twitlik woman named Mission's Contact. She works in Davik's organization but hates him for reasons she does not elaborate. She provides the security codes and patrol schedules. In exchange, you promise to get her off Taris too. The infiltration happens at night. Davik's estate is obscene in its luxury, a monument to wealth built on suffering. Marble floors, art from a dozen worlds, a hangar bay that holds the Ebon Hawk like a jewel in a setting. The ship is beautiful, modified YT freighter, sleek where others are boxy, fast where others are sturdy, quad laser cannons. Military-grade shields, hyperdrive rated for 0.5 past light speed. Looking at it, you feel something stir in your chest. Pride, recognition. Then Davik himself appears, flanked by guards and one figure that makes everyone freeze. A Mandalorian in full armor, blue and silver plate scarred from 1,000 battles. Canderous Ordo, mercenary, killer, legend. The situation deteriorates rapidly. Blasters drawn on both sides. Demands and threats exchanged. Then, as if the universe itself has decided to intervene, the Sith fleet opens fire on Taris from orbit. The first turbo laser strike hits 3 kilometers away. The shockwave shatters windows across the upper city. Through the hangar's open doors, you see the sky light up with fire as the bombardment intensifies. Malak has decided that finding Bastila is not worth the effort. He is destroying the entire planet. Billions of people. Men, women, children, humans, Twistliks, all species and classes. None of it matters. They are all about to die. Davik tries to run for the Ebon Hawk. Canderous shoots him in the back without hesitation. The Mandalorian looks at you, at Bastila, makes a calculation. I am coming with you, he says, not a request. There is no time to argue. The estate is collapsing. You run for the ship, engines already warming up. The boarding ramp closes as fire rains from the sky. Karth takes the pilot seat like he was born there. The Ebon Hawk lifts, engines screaming. Outside, Taris dies. Entire city levels collapse inward. Flames consume the upper city. The bombardment reaches the lower city, vaporizing gang territories and cantinas and everyone inside them. The undercity, mercifully, probably dies quickly. The Raghouls and outcasts and forgotten people all made equal in the fire. You watch it through the viewport. Billions of lights, each one a life, winking out in seconds. Mission is crying silently. Yuzalbar holds her. Canderous watches with the detachment of someone who has seen worlds burn before. Bastila stands beside you, and through the Force, you feel her grief like a weight pressing down on your chest. The Sith Interdictor tries to stop you. Karth proves why he has all those medals, flying through the debris field and incoming fire with skill that borders on precognitive. The Ebon Hawk's guns tear into smaller Sith fighters. Then you are through, jumping to hyperspace, leaving behind a tomb with 4 billion graves. Dantooine, Bastila says quietly. We go to Dantooine. The Council must know what has happened here. But you are not thinking about the Council. You are thinking about Malak, about the kind of mind that can order planetary genocide without hesitation, about the darkness required to murder billions for the crime of harboring one Jedi. You do not know it yet, but you have met Malak before. You knew him when he was still human, when you both were. Dantooine is the opposite of Taris in every way that matters. Where Taris was metal and corruption, Dantooine is grass and peace. The planet spreads out beneath the ebon hawk in endless rolling plains of gold and green. Herds of cathounds move in flowing packs across the grasslands. Ancient ruins dot the landscape, older than the Republic itself, their purpose lost to time. There are no cities here, no sprawl of civilization, just farmsteads scattered across the continents, and in the distance the Jedi Enclave. The Enclave sits on a promontory overlooking the plains like a lighthouse built for the Force itself. The architecture is elegant and understated, designed to complement the landscape rather than dominate it. Gardens surround the main structure, meditation spaces open to the sky. You feel it before you land. A presence, a calm, something that pushes back against the chaos still churning in your mind from Taris. The Jedi Council is waiting. Master Vandar, small and ancient, his species unidentifiable, but his wisdom unmistakable. Master Vrach, human, perpetually stern, the kind of teacher who expects failure and is rarely disappointed. Master Zar, patient and methodical. Master Dorak, the Enclave's historian, drowning in knowledge but always seeking more. Bastila presents you to them with a formality that feels rehearsed. This is the Republic soldier who helped me escape Taris. They showed remarkable Force sensitivity during our escape. I believe they should be tested. The Rock's skepticism is immediate, too old. Training should begin in infancy, not adulthood. The risk of falling to the dark side increases with age and attachment. Yet here they stand, Vandar replies gently. The Force has brought them to us. It would be arrogant to ignore such a clear path. The testing begins that afternoon. Simple exercises at first. Reach out with your feelings. Sense what cannot be seen. The Force flows through all living things, connects them, binds them. You have felt it before without knowing what it was. That instinct in combat, that certainty in crisis. Now the Jedi give it a name. You are strong, unnaturally so for someone with no training. The exercises that take most initiates months to master, you accomplish in days. Telekinesis comes easily. You lift stones, then larger objects, then Vandar himself, and the ancient master laughs with delight at the impropriety. But there are other tests too. Bastila works with you on meditation, trying to establish the battle meditation bond more formally. When your minds touch through the Force, something strange happens. You see fragments, battles from perspectives you should not have, fleets engaging across vast distances, tactical decisions being made with perfect clarity, and always at the edge of perception, a figure in dark robes watching everything with eyes that might be your own. The visions trouble Bastila. She pulls back from the connection abruptly, disturbed by something she will not name. She recommends continuing your training, but at a distance. Master Zar becomes your primary instructor. Zar is kind, where Vrach is harsh. He teaches you the philosophy alongside the practice. The Jedi Code, ancient and absolute. There is no emotion. There is peace. There is no ignorance. There is knowledge. There is no passion. There is serenity. There is no chaos. There is harmony. There is no death. There is the Force. You ask what it means. All of it. The contradictions inherent in denying emotion while seeking peace. The claim of knowledge while admitting the Force is mysterious. The assertion of serenity while fighting wars. Zar smiles. You ask the right questions. That is more important than finding the right answers. The code is a guide, not a chain. It shows us the ideal while acknowledging we are imperfect beings stumbling toward it. The lightsaber training begins in the Enclave's courtyard under 3 suns. Dantooine orbits in a system with multiple stars, giving the days an odd quality of light. Master Zar provides you with a training saber, low-powered, incapable of cutting, but able to deliver painful shocks when contact is made. He demonstrates the first form, Shi Cho, The way of the Sarlacc. Ancient, basic, the foundation upon which all other forms are built. Wide, sweeping strikes designed to face multiple opponents. Defense through aggressive offense. You mirror his movements. They feel familiar, too familiar. Your body knows these forms already, executing them with a precision that should require years of practice. Zar notices but says nothing, allowing you to work through the kata at your own pace. After a week, he tests you with a sparring match. You should lose. He is a Jedi Master with decades of experience. You have had 7 days of formal training, but the duel goes longer than it should. You predict his strikes. You counter with techniques you have no memory of learning. When he finally disarms you, it is only barely, and you see something in his eyes, not pride, concern. That evening, the Council sends you on your first real mission, not a test, a necessity. In the ruins beyond the Enclave, ancient structures built by the Rakata, a star map has been discovered. The Rakata were the Infinite Empire, a species that ruled the galaxy 20,000 years before the Republic existed. They wielded the Force and built technology powered by it. Then they fell, suddenly and completely, their civilization collapsing in a single generation. The ruins are a day's walk across the plains. The Council provides guidance, but no escort. This is your trial. Prove you can face the unknown and return with knowledge instead of corruption. You take Mission and Zalbar with you. Koth stays behind, uncomfortable around so many Jedi. Canderous is somewhere in the Enclave, trading war stories with the few Jedi who will tolerate his presence. Bastila refuses to come, claiming council duties, though you suspect she is avoiding another mind touch through the Force. The walk is peaceful. Gath hounds watch your passage with wary intelligence, but do not attack. The grass reaches to your knees, golden in the triple sunlight. Mission talks constantly, filling the silence with observations about everything and nothing. Zalbar grunts responses that might be agreement or exasperation. You are content to listen. The ruins announce themselves gradually. First scattered stones too regular to be natural, then walls, half buried by centuries of soil. Finally the structure itself, rising from the plains like a tooth from gums. The architecture is alien, built according to geometries that feel wrong to human eyes. Angles that should not work support archways that defy gravity. Inside, the air is cooler, darker. The Force is strong here, thick enough to taste. You feel it pulling at you, guiding you deeper into the structure. Mission and Zalabar follow, their earlier chatter dying in the oppressive atmosphere. The star map waits in a central chamber. It springs to life at your approach. Ancient technology waking after millennia of sleep. Holographic projections fill the air, showing the galaxy as it was 20,000 years ago. Worlds you recognize, but their names are different. The Infinite Empire's territory stretched across known space like a cancer, consuming everything. Then, the vision begins. Not the hologram. Something else. Something that comes from inside your own mind, or perhaps the Force itself. You see the Mandalorian Wars, though you have no context for what you are seeing. Fleets clashing in the void. Worlds burning under orbital bombardment. Refugees fleeing and ships barely holding together. And a figure, masked, armored, is standing on a bridge, overlooking the carnage, making decisions that will kill millions to save billions, sacrificing honor for victory, becoming the monster to defeat monsters. The figure turns. You see yourself reflected in the mask's cold surface. The vision shatters. You are on your knees in the ruins, gasping. Mission is shaking your shoulder, her young face tight with fear. Zalabar growls concern, his massive hand gentle on your back. "What did you see?" Mission asks. You cannot answer, cannot explain. The vision felt like memory, But it cannot be. You were not at those battles. You did not make those choices. But your body remembers the weight of that armor. Your mind remembers the cold mathematics of acceptable losses. You return to the enclave with the star map's data. The council convenes immediately, all four masters listening as you recount what the ancient technology revealed. The map is incomplete, showing only one point in a constellation of 5. To find what the Rakata hid, you need all 5 maps. And what did they hide, you ask? Vrook's face is grave. The Starforge, an ancient weapon of unimaginable power, it was lost when the Infinite Empire fell. We believed it destroyed, if it still exists. If Malak finds it, the Republic will fall. All worlds will fall. Steeler speaks for the first time. Revan and Malak were searching for the Starforge. That is what led them to the dark side. They found something out there, beyond known space, something that corrupted them. If we can locate the forge first, we can deny it to Malak. The council agrees. You will search for the remaining star maps. You will race Malak across the galaxy, seeking ancient Rakatan technology on worlds hostile and strange. It is a mission that could take months, years. But there is something they are not telling you. You see it in Bastila's averted eyes, in Vrook's tight jaw, in Vanda's sad smile. They know something about you, about your visions, about the ease with which the Force flows through your untrained mind. They know, and they are not saying that a mission feels like betrayal, though you cannot articulate why. That night, you stand in the Enclave's gardens and look up at Dantooine's stars. Somewhere out there, Malak commands an infinite fleet. Somewhere out there, the Starforge waits. And somewhere buried beneath the false memories the Jedi gave you, the truth sleeps. You are afraid of what will happen when it wakes. The twin suns of Tatooine beat down like hammers, forging something new from something broken. Heat shimmers rise from the sand in waves that distort distance and deceive the eye. The Ebon Hawk settles onto a landing pad at Anchorhead, the only real settlement for 100 kilometers in any direction, and even calling it a settlement feels generous. A few dozen moisture farmers eking survival from a planet that wants them dead. A cantina that serves drinks warm because cooling systems cost credits nobody has. A Sika corporation office exploiting everyone desperate enough to need their services. You have come for a star map hidden somewhere in the Dune Sea. The Council's records suggest Rakatan ruins exist here, buried under centuries of sand and forgotten by everyone except scholars who traffic in ancient mysteries. But Tatooine does not give up its secrets easily. The desert keeps what it takes. Anchorhead introduces you to a new kind of poverty. Taris was overcrowded desperation. Here, isolation starves people just as effectively. The moisture farmers talk in tight voices about sand people raids increasing in frequency and violence. About Circa buying up homesteads for nothing and leaving families with nowhere to go. About a crate dragon in the eastern wastes that has killed 3 hunting parties already. The Circa office is where you find your first real lead. A protocol droid, old and battered, is being sold for parts. You recognize the make immediately. Oki series. Assassination model, illegal in Republic space and most of the civilized galaxy. This one is missing large portions of its memory core, speaking in fragments and glitches. The droid activates when you approach. Statement, it says, its vocabulator crackling with age. An HK-47. I am an assassination droid. I require a master. Observation. You appear to be a meatbag of adequate quality. Mission laughs. It called you a meatbag. Clarification. HK-47 continues. All organic life forms are meatbags. This is simply taxonomic accuracy. Something about the droid appeals to you in ways you cannot articulate. Perhaps its directness. Perhaps the damaged memory that mirrors your own missing past. You purchase HK-47 from the Circa agent, who seems delighted to be rid of a malfunctioning asset. Back on the Ebon Hawk, you attempt to restore more of HK's memory. The process is slow. Fragments emerge, references to a previous master, assassination protocols, a mission involving a Hutt crime lord, but the core memories, the ones that would tell you who built this droid and why, remain locked behind corrupted databanks. The search for the star map leads you to the Sand People. The Tusken Raiders have inhabited Tatooine for thousands of years. Their culture built around survival in the harshest environment imaginable. They view outsiders as invaders in their sacred desert. They take what they need from moisture farmers, because from their perspective, the farmers are thieves stealing water that belongs to the sands. The Circa Corporation wants you to solve their Sand People problem with blasters. Credits for every Tusken killed, proof of death required. It is the kind of contract that makes mission uncomfortable, and Zalabar growl low in his throat. But there is another way. A moisture farmer woman whose husband was taken by the Sand People tells you about their chieftain, about the possibility of negotiation if you can prove you respect their ways. She gives you robes, the kind that mark you as attempting to communicate rather than conquer. Approaching the Sand People encampment in their own clothing feels like walking a bridge made of spider silk. One wrong word, one gesture misinterpreted, and you die screaming in the sand. But HK-47 surprises everyone by speaking their language fluently. His memory may be damaged, but linguistic protocols remain intact. The chieftain is old beneath his wrappings. His voice comes through his breathing apparatus in harsh, modulated tones that HK translates. The metal people, he says, referring to Zahaka, take our water and give nothing. The soft farmers spread across our hunting grounds like disease. Why should we not kill what threatens us? You negotiate. It takes hours. The twin suns cross the sky while you sit in that tent. HK translating. The chieftain, considering. Eventually, you reach terms. The Sand People will leave 3 specific farmsteads alone. In exchange, you will drive Circa's hunters from the Dune Sea and leave offerings of water at sacred sites. It is not peace. It is barely a truce, but it stops the killing, at least for now. Kazurka is furious when you refuse their bounty contract. The Anchorhead office manager makes threats about Republic support being withdrawn, about how your interference is costing them profits. You leave him shouting at your back. Karth finds you that evening at the cantina nursing a drink and watching the sunset through grimy windows. He sits without invitation, orders something that might be whiskey but probably is not. You did good today, he says. Surprising, but good. You ask what he means by surprising. Most soldiers would have taken the easy credits, shot first, questioned, never. That you found another way. It says something. The conversation drifts. Karth talks about his son for the first time since Taris. Dustil, smart kid, wanted to be a pilot like his father. After Karth's wife died in the Sith bombing of Tellus, Dustil changed, got angry, ran away. Republic records listed him as missing, presumed dead. But I do not think he is dead, Karth admits quietly. I think he is out there somewhere, hating me for not being there when his mother died, for being away on another mission, while our world burned. You tell him it was not his fault. Malak killed those people, not him. Knowing whose fault it is does not make the loss hurt less, Karth replies. Does not bring anyone back. The Krayt Dragon proves more difficult than Sand People diplomacy. The creature has made its lair in a canyon to the east, a massive predator from an age when Tatooine had oceans instead of sand. Hunting it would be suicide. Fighting it directly is not an option. But the Sand People have a plan. They have been tracking the dragon, studying its habits. If you place enough mines at the canyon entrance and create enough noise to draw it out, the explosives should do what blasters cannot. The execution is terrifying. The Krayt dragon, when it emerges, is larger than the ebon hawk, scales like armor plating, teeth the size of vibro swords. Its roar shakes sand from the canyon walls. You detonate the mines remotely and pray to any gods that might listen to desperate fools. The explosion is beautiful and horrific. Fire blooms in the desert like a deadly flower. When the smoke clears, the dragon lies still, its massive body already being claimed by the sand. Inside the canyon, you find what you came for. Rakatan ruins buried in the dragon's lair. The creature had been nesting on top of ancient technology it could not understand. The star map activates at your touch, adding another coordinate to the constellation of locations leading to the Star Forge. But you also find the Dragon's Pearl, a massive gem formed in the creature's gizzard over centuries, worth a fortune. The Sand People consider it sacred. You give it to the chieftain, cementing the fragile peace. That night, Mission discovers Gizka have infested the Ebon Hawk, small, amphibious creatures that reproduce faster than they can be caught. They are everywhere. In the cargo hold, the engine room, even the cockpit, Karth is apoplectic. Kandris thinks it is hilarious. The Gizka become an ongoing problem that no amount of force sensitivity seems able to solve. As you leave Tatooine, watching the twin suns shrink to points of light through the viewport, you think about choices, about the ease with which violence solves problems temporarily, while diplomacy requires patience and risk, about how many people default to the former, because it is simpler. You chose the harder path today. You chose to see the Sand People as people, rather than targets. That choice cost you nothing but time, and gained you something more valuable than credits. The knowledge that you can choose, that whatever you were before, whoever you were, you are not bound to be that person now. The desert taught you that. Tatooine, harsh and unforgiving, showed you that survival does not require surrendering compassion. You carry that lesson with you as the Ebon Hawk jumps to hyperspace, the stars stretching into lines of light, carrying you toward the next piece of the puzzle. Kacherik is alive in a way few worlds can claim. The Rosha trees stretch kilometers into the sky, their trunks wider than buildings, their branches creating entire ecosystems at different altitudes. The Ebon Hawk descends through layers of habitation, passing Wookiee villages built into the tree canopy, where sunlight filters through leaves in shafts of green-gold radiance. Lower, the light dims. Lower still, it vanishes entirely. The Shadowlands wait at the bottom, places where sunlight has not touched ground in 10,000 years, where things evolved in darkness and remain there by choice. But you do not go down immediately. First, you must navigate Circa Corporation politics and Wookiee honor, two forces colliding with predictable violence. Circa has established a presence on Kashyyyk under the guise of legitimate trade. In reality, they are enslaving Wookiees, selling them to the highest bidder across the Outer Rim. The operation is illegal under Republic law, but Kashyyyk is far from Coruscant, and Circa has enough senators on payroll to ensure no one looks too closely. Zalbar becomes visibly agitated. The moment you land, this is his homeworld, his people, and he is exiled from them by his own actions and his brother's treachery. The story emerges slowly, painfully. Zalabar's father, Freya, was chieftain of their tribe, a good leader, honorable. But Zalabar's brother Chewendar was ambitious in the way that poisons families. He allied with Circa, gave them access to Wookiee lands in exchange for weapons and influence. When Freya opposed this arrangement, Chewendar orchestrated events to make it appear Freya had gone mad. Zalbar, believing his brother's lies, attacked his father. It was only after Freya fled into the Shadowlands that Zalbar learned the truth. But by then the damage was done. He had raised his hand against his chieftain, against his father. Wookiee culture allowed only one response: exile. That is how Mission found him in the lower city of Taris, a Wookiee far from home, carrying shame heavier than any physical burden. Now, returning to Kashyyyk, Zaalbar must face what he fled. Chundar rules the tribe with Tseka backing. Wookiees are being sold into slavery by their own chieftain. And Freyri, if he still lives, remains somewhere in the Shadowlands, where no one ventures and fewer return from. The Serka station is where you get your first clear picture of the operation's scope. Holding pens full of Wookiees awaiting transport, credits changing hands, slavers from a dozen species coordinating shipments. It makes your blood cold. You can work with Sakar. They offer credits, access to their databases, safe passage through their territory. All you have to do is ignore the slavery, look the other way, collect your star map coordinates, and leave. Mission watches you with an intensity that transcends her years. She knows what it means if you choose convenience over conscience. Zaalbar says nothing, but his silence is louder than words. You choose the hard way, again. Confronting Chundar requires getting to him first. He hides behind layers of Wookiee guards who follow him out of obligation, not loyalty. You fight your way through the village, not killing, because these Wookiees are victims of Chundar's corruption, not willing participants. Stun bolts and careful aim. Mission's agility getting her into positions where she can disable rather than destroy. Chundar is younger than you expected. Wookiees live for centuries, and he is barely into his second. Ambition animates him more than wisdom. When you confront him, he does not deny the slavery, he justifies it. We were dying before Churka came. He growls through Mission's translation. Starving, irrelevant. Now we have technology, weapons. We matter. You matter as slaves, you reply, as commodities. That is not strength. That is surrender. The argument goes nowhere. Chundar will not be swayed by words, but there is another option. Wookiee law allows for challenges. If Freyr still lives, if he can be brought back to dispute Chundar's claim, the tribe will follow the rightful chieftain. Which means going into the Shadowlands. The descent takes hours. The villages thin out at lower levels, becoming outposts, then just shelters for the desperate or insane. The light fails completely. Your illumination becomes a small bubble of visibility in absolute darkness. Sounds echo strangely. Things move just beyond your sight. Then you meet Jolly Bindo. He appears from the shadows like he has always been there, and you just now noticed. An old man, dark-skinned, gray-bearded, wearing robes that might have been Jedi brown once, but are now the color of soil and use. He carries a lightsaber at his belt, inactive, almost forgotten. Turn around, he says pleasantly. Go back up. Nothing down here but death and regret. You explain your mission, finding Freyr, restoring him to his tribe. Jolie listens with an expression of bemused tolerance. That Wookiee is stubborn as a rancor, and twice as mean when motivated. Jolie says he is alive, sure, survived down here longer than I expected. But bringing him back up means going through territory that wants you dead. Kinrath spiders big as land speeders, plants that digest you while you are still screaming, and worse things that do not have names. You ask why Jolie is down here at all. He smiles, but it does not reach his eyes, because up there, people want things from me, expect me to be something I am not. Down here, the worst thing that wants from me is to eat me. Honest, simple. I like simple. But he agrees to guide you, maybe out of boredom, maybe because he sees something in your group that reminds him of better days. He does not explain, and you do not ask. Jolly Bindo is a study in contradictions. He wields the Force with casual mastery that speaks to decades of training. but he rejects the Jedi Code's absolutes with the certainty of someone who learned its limitations through fire. He talks constantly as you descend deeper, telling stories that might be wisdom or might be the ramblings of a hermit who has been alone too long. He fought in the Great Sith War 40 years ago, saw Exar Kun corrupt Jedi by the dozens, turning the Order's own strength against itself. Jolie's wife was one of those who fell. He tried to save her, tried to pull her back from the darkness, failed. And when she died, when the war ended and the Jedi Council asked him to return to Coruscant, he refused. "I loved her," he says quietly, during a rest in a relatively safe clearing. The code says no attachments, that love leads to the dark side. Maybe it does. But I would rather have loved and lost than never loved at all. The Jedi want us to be monks, emotionless, pure. But we are not emotionless. We are just pretending we are, and that pretense causes as many falls as actual passion. You ask if he is still a Jedi. Jolee shrugs. "I use the Force. I try to help where I can. I do not follow the Council's orders. What does that make me? Grey Jedi. Some call it. I call it being honest about what I am, instead of pretending to be what I am not." The Shadowlands reveal their dangers incrementally. First, the Kinrath spiders, exactly as large as Jolee promised, their mandibles clicking in the dark as they coordinate attacks with disturbing intelligence. Then the plants, some carnivorous, some simply toxic. A Mandalorian corpse in rusted armor serves as warning that even elite warriors find death here. Canderous examines the armor with professional interest. Neo-Crusader design, he notes. 15 years old at least, probably from the Mandalorian Wars. We lost people on dozens of worlds during the retreat. This one chose to die here rather than face defeat. You find Freya in a clearing that might once have been a camp. He is older than Zalbar. Massive even by Wookiee standards, his fur gone gray in patches. Scars cross his body like a map of violence survived. He recognizes Zalbar immediately and roars fury that shakes leaves from distant branches. Zalbar does not defend himself. He kneels, exposes his throat in submission. And in that gesture, in that acceptance of judgment, Freya's rage transforms into something more complex. Mission translates Freya's words, "My son returns, my foolish, brave, broken son. Do you know what you did to me, to our people?" Zalbar's response needs no translation. The grief in his posture speaks across species. Freya could kill him. Wookiee honor would permit it. But instead, he reaches down and pulls Zalbar to his feet. Not forgiveness, not yet, but acknowledgement. The first step on a very long path. Bringing Freya back up requires fighting through the territory you already cleared, now repopulated by creatures drawn to the scent of combat. The ascent feels longer than the descent. Jolee fights beside you, his green lightsaber, a blur of economical motion, no wasted movement, no flourishes, just efficiency born of experience. When you finally emerge into the light of the upper canopy, Freya challenges Chuundar formally. The tribe gathers, the Seika representatives watch nervously. The fight is brutal and short. Chuundar has youth, Freya has rage and righteousness. The outcome was never in doubt. Freya reclaims his position. His first act is expelling Seika from Kashyyyk. The second is freeing every enslaved Wookiee. The third is welcoming Zalbar back to the tribe. His exile ended, his honor not restored but no longer irretrievably lost. The star map waits in a temple in the lower Shadowlands. You retrieve it almost as an afterthought. The coordinates add to your growing collection. That night in the upper canopy where the sunset paints the leaves in fire, Jolee Bindo makes an announcement. "I am coming with you," he says. "You are going to need someone who has seen good people do terrible things and lived to question whether they were still good. That is going to be me." You do not argue. Somehow, you know he is right. Manan is a world of water and secrets. No continents break the surface. No islands provide refuge. Just ocean, deep and endless, covering a planet that keeps its mysteries beneath waves that have never seen dry land. The only visible structure is Ato City, floating on the surface, like a promise that civilization can exist anywhere if you want it badly enough. The city is beautiful in a sterile way. All clean lines and transparent walkways, architecture designed to showcase the ocean while protecting inhabitants from it. Selkath move through the corridors with fluid grace, their amphibious bodies equally comfortable in water or air. They are the only source of kolto in the galaxy, that miracle healing substance that keeps soldiers alive and makes Manan too valuable to conquer. The Selkath exploit this monopoly with ruthless pragmatism. Both the Republic and Sith Empire maintain embassies here. Both pay exorbitant prices for kolto shipments. Both know that if they anger the Selkath, the kolto stops flowing and their soldiers die in greater numbers. It creates a bizarre diplomatic theater where mortal enemies maintain polite fictions of civility. You are required to declare your allegiance at customs. Republic, obviously, given your ship's registry and the Jedi with you. But the Selkath make clear that this affiliation purchases you nothing. Man law applies to everyone. Break it, face their courts. The Sith enjoy the same protections and constraints. The Republic embassy is understaffed and nervous. The ambassador, a human woman named Roland, briefs you on the situation with the exhaustion of someone fighting a losing battle. The Sith are stealing our people, she explains. Young Selkath, idealistic, they are being recruited into Sith training programs. It violates about 6 different treaties, but we cannot prove it. The Selkath government knows but does not care enough to act. If we push too hard, they cut our kolto allocation. We are paralyzed. You offer to investigate. Roland looks relieved and worried in equal measure. Be careful, she warns. The Sith embassy has more resources and fewer scruples. Their ambassador is a man named Nilko Boaz. Brilliant, ruthless, completely immoral. If you cross him, he will destroy you through legal channels and make it look justified. The Sith embassy is larger than the Republic's, better furnished. More guards. You enter under the pretense of diplomatic courtesy, knowing it fools no one. Nilko Boaz receives you with the kind of smile that never touches the eyes. A Jedi on Manan, he says pleasantly. How wonderful. Here to ensure Republic interests are protected. I am sure, do give my regards to Ambassador Roland. Tell her the kolto shipments will arrive on schedule, assuming certain parties refrain from unfounded accusations. The threat is barely veiled. You leave before the conversation can deteriorate further. Finding the missing Selkath requires talking to people who do not want to be found. Informants in the lower levels of Ato City, where tourists never venture and the ocean sometimes breaches the seals, flooding corridors with seawater that smells of brine and ancient things. A Selkath youth named Shaelus contacts you secretly, terrified, saying his friends have vanished after expressing interest in Sith philosophy. The trail leads to a training facility, hidden beneath a legitimate business. You infiltrate carefully, avoiding guards until you find them. A dozen young Selkath being indoctrinated by a Sith instructor, not tortured, not imprisoned, taught, seduced by promises of power and purpose. You can expose this. Bring Selkath authorities and watch the Sith operation crumble. But some of the youth genuinely want to be here. Removing them by force makes you as bad as the Sith. The choice is complicated, in ways Tatooine's Sand People negotiations were not. Eventually, you offer the Selkath a choice. Stay if you want, leave if you want, but know what you are choosing. The Sith do not value individuals. You are resources to them. disposable. If that appeals to you, stay. If not, I will ensure you get home safely. Most leave, a few stay. You report the facility to Selkath authorities, who shut it down with performative outrage, while privately not caring very much. Nilko bores protests through official channels. The legal battle drags on for days. You are questioned, deposed, nearly arrested twice. But you are not here for politics. You are here for the star map, and it waits beneath the ocean in a place called the Rekurt Rift. The descent is undertaken in a Republic submersible, a cramped metal tube designed to withstand pressures that would crush an unprotected human into paste. Windows show the ocean depths as you descend. Light vanishes within the first 100 meters. After that, only your vessel's illumination reveals the alien world below. Bioluminescent life drifts past. Creatures with no eyes, because eyes are useless where no light exists. Things larger than the submersible move in the distance, their shapes suggested rather than seen. The ocean here feels alive in a way that transcends the creatures within it. The water itself seems aware, watching, waiting. The Rekurt Rift station appears like a wound in the deep. Republic Research Facility, officially studying kolto production, unofficially conducting experiments. The Selkath would end violently if discovered. The station is damaged when you arrive. Emergency lights flicker, compartments are flooded, bodies drift in sealed corridors, their faces locked in expressions of terminal fear. Survivors tell a fragmented story. They were experimenting on a massive Faraxan shark they called the progenitor, ancient, possibly thousands of years old. The Selkath consider it sacred. The Republic scientists considered it a research opportunity. They implanted devices to study its biology, tried to control its behavior, drove it mad. The progenitor attacked, destroyed, containment, wrecked the station. Now it circles below, injured and enraged, killing anything that moves. You have a choice. Kill the progenitor and secure the station, ensuring continued kolto research, or destroy the kolto harvesting machinery, freeing the creature from torment and ending the experiments forever. The scientists beg you to save their work. Years of research, discoveries that could revolutionize medicine, all lost if you side with a fish too stupid to understand you are trying to help it. But Jolie, who has been quiet during most of Manan's political theater, speaks up. That creature was fine until we decided we knew better than millennia of evolution, he says. We hurt it, imprisoned it, tortured it in the name of science. Now it is fighting back, and we call it mad. Maybe the progenitor is the sanest thing in this ocean. You destroy the machinery. The station shakes as kolto harvesting equipment tears itself apart. The progenitor, sensing the change, stops its attack. Through the viewport you see it drift away into darkness, still injured but free. The scientists are devastated. The Republic will not be happy, but the Selkath, when they learn what happened, show you respect for the first time. You honored the progenitor. You chose their sacred creature over your own species' benefit. That means something. The star map is in an ancient temple on the ocean floor, accessible through the station's lower levels. Rakatan architecture, impossibly old, somehow surviving pressure that should have crushed it to rubble. The map activates, adding coordinates to your collection. But you also learn something new. The Rakatan Infinite Empire was built on the dark side of the Force. Their technology required it. When they lost their Force sensitivity, everything collapsed. The Star Forge was their greatest achievement, and their ultimate curse. It feeds on conflict, on death, on the dark side itself. The more it is used, the more it corrupts its user. That is what happened to Revan and Malak. They found the Star Forge and thought they could control it, but the Forge controlled them instead. That evening, back in Outer City, you find Canderous on a viewing platform overlooking the ocean. He has been quieter than usual on Manian, uncomfortable with diplomacy and legal maneuvering. His are the skills of a warrior, not a politician. You fought in the Mandalorian Wars, you say, against Revan. Canderous nods. Greatest battles I ever saw. Revan was a tactical genius, knew where we would be before we did, turned our strength against us. Honorable too. In a way, after we surrendered, Revan took Mandalore the Ultimate's mask, symbol of leadership, meant the Mandalorians could not rally without it. You ask what Revan was like. Canderous considers the question. Terrifying. Brilliant. The kind of leader you would follow into hell, because you knew they would get you out the other side. We killed millions during our crusade. Revan stopped us, saved the galaxy, then became exactly what we were, a conqueror. Strange how that happens. You think about the visions, about the armored figure making impossible decisions, about how easily heroism and villainy blur. The ocean below is dark and deep. It keeps its secrets well. You wonder what other truths wait in the depths, too far down to see, too dangerous to disturb. Tomorrow you leave for Korriban, the Sith homeworld, where darkness is not hidden beneath waves but celebrated in open tombs. You are not looking forward to it. Korriban is a planet that should not exist, not in the sense of physical impossibility, but moral impossibility. A world where evil is not hidden or justified or rationalized. It simply is, celebrated openly, taught as virtue, practiced as religion. The approach through the Horus system reveals a red planet of wind-swept deserts and perpetual dust storms. No green, no blue, just crimson sand and black stone, the colors of blood and obsidian. The Valley of the Dark Lords cuts through the landscape like a scar, massive tomb structures rising from the canyon floor, each one housing the remains of an ancient Sith Lord and the dark side power they accumulated in life. The Sith Academy sits at the valley's entrance, a fortress built to train the next generation of Darksiders. Students kill each other for prestige. Instructors encourage betrayal as pedagogical technique. Weakness is not tolerated, it is eliminated. Landing on Korriban requires permission from the Academy. Bastila handles the communication with visible discomfort. The Sith are expecting Jedi to come searching for something in the tombs. They grant landing privileges not out of courtesy, but curiosity. They want to see what you will do, who you will become when the dark side whispers its promises. The docking bay is filled with Sith warships bearing the insignia of Malak's empire. Soldiers in dark armor watch your arrival with the lazy confidence of predators who know they cannot be challenged here. You are outnumbered 1,000 to 1, outgunned, surrounded. Master Uther Wynn meets you personally. Older human, with a kind of face that has forgotten how to smile without malice. He wears traditional Sith robes, black and red, and carries himself with the authority of someone who has killed his way to the top of a very bloody hierarchy. Jedi, he says, making the word sound like an insult, come to plunder our tombs, I assume, searching for Rakatan trinkets. How predictable. You do not deny it. There is no point. Uther knows why you are here. I will make you an offer, he continues. Enter the Academy as students. Prove yourselves worthy. The trials will grant you access to the tombs, and you may seek whatever you wish. Survive long enough, and you can leave with what you came for. Fail, and your bodies will join the others decorating our training rooms. Bastila wants to refuse. You can see it in the set of her jaw, the way her hand drifts toward her lightsaber. But refusing means fighting through the entire Academy. Accepting means walking into a trap designed to corrupt or kill you. You accept. The Academy is worse inside than outside. Torture chambers masquerade as classrooms. Students practice force lightning on prisoners too broken to scream anymore. The library contains texts describing atrocities in academic language, recording genocide with the detached interest of scholars studying insect behavior. Your fellow students are a collection of the galaxy's most promising psychopaths. There is Shardan, human, who speaks about murder like other people discuss the weather. Mekl, who collects trophies from his kills and displays them in his quarters. Lasho, who uses seduction and betrayal interchangeably. And there is Euthura Ben, Twill, Ceres, apprentice. She watches you with an intensity that feels like being dissected. Unlike the students who embrace the dark side with enthusiastic ignorance, Euthura understands exactly what she has become. That awareness makes her more dangerous and paradoxically more reachable. The trials begin immediately. Euthura assigns tasks designed to test your commitment to Sith philosophy. Interrogate a prisoner using pain. Betray another student for advancement. Retrieve an artifact from the tombs while competing students try to kill you for it. Each trial is a choice. Embrace the dark side and succeed easily. Reject it and find harder paths that preserve your integrity. You interrogate the prisoner without torture, offering freedom for information. You warn the student marked for betrayal instead of betraying them. You share the artifact rather than hoard it. These choices confuse the Sith. They do not understand altruism that is not weakness. But the dark side is always present on Korriban. It seeps from the tombs like radiation. It flows through the academy like atmosphere. You feel it pressing against your mind, offering shortcuts promising power. The temptation is not dramatic. It is subtle, a whisper suggesting that the ends justify the means, that mercy is just another form of cruelty when it allows evil to continue, that strength used for good purposes is still strength. Jali notices your struggle. He finds you one evening on the Academy's ramparts, looking out over the Valley of the Dark Lords. Feeling it, are you, he says without preamble. The Pearl, the dark side, does not grab you, it seduces you, makes you think you are still in control right up until you are not. You ask how he resisted when his wife fell. I did not, Jali admits, not entirely. I touched the dark side trying to save her, used anger, hate, all the things the Jedi say lead to corruption. And you know what? It did not help. She fell, anyway. And I had to live with knowing I compromised myself for nothing. He looks at you directly. You are stronger in the Force than you should be. That strength is going to be tested here more than anywhere else. Remember that power is not good or evil. It is what you do with it that matters. The Sith forget that. They think power is virtue. It is not. It is just power. The tomb expeditions are where Korriban reveals its true horror. Each Dark Lord's tomb is a monument to their particular flavors of evil. Ajunta Pal, the first of the Sith, rests in a chamber filled with the souls of Jedi he corrupted. His spirit still lingers, trapped between life and death, radiating regret like a furnace radiates heat. You speak with Ajunta Pal's ghost. He remembers being a Jedi once, remembers the idealism that turned to bitterness when the Council rejected his experiments with the Force, remembers how easy it was to convince himself that his methods were justified, that the ends would redeem the means. They never did, the ghost whispers. I became exactly what I fought against. All this power, and in the end I cannot even remember which of these swords was mine. Cannot recall the face of the first person I killed. The dark side gave me strength and took away everything that made that strength meaningful. You can redeem him, giving his spirit peace, or take his ancient sword and let him rot in torment. The choice feels significant in ways beyond the immediate. Tulak Horde's tomb is different. No regret here, just pure martial perfection, corrupted toward destruction. The greatest lightsaber duelist who ever lived, his techniques preserved in holocrons that teach you to kill with artistry. You study them because refusing knowledge is foolish, but using them requires discipline. The forms themselves are neutral. Your intent shapes them into light or dark. Marka Ragnos and Naga Sado's tombs delve into Sith history, the golden age of the Sith, when the dark side flowed freely and entire civilizations bent knee to force-wielding tyrants. You learn about Exar Kun's war, the one Zhou Li fought in, about the endless cycle of Sith rising, conquering, falling, only to rise again under new leadership. The pattern is clear. The dark side does not create, it consumes. Every Sith empire builds itself on the bones of the previous one, and eventually collapses under its own corruption. The Jedi endure because they value preservation over domination. The Sith burn bright and die young because they cannot help destroying even themselves. In Naga Sado's tomb, you find the final star map. It activates at your touch, completing the constellation. You now know where the Star Forge waits, Dalon, the unknown world, Rakata Prime. But you also find something else. Records, fragments of data the Sith preserved about Revan and Malak's fall. They came here after the Mandalorian Wars, seeking knowledge to fight the true Sith Empire they discovered beyond known space. They studied in these tombs, learned from the ancient Dark Lords, and somewhere in that study, they crossed a line they could not uncross. There is a specific mention of Malachor V, the superweapon Revan ordered deployed to end the Mandalorian Wars, the mass shadow generator. It created an artificial gravity well that crushed the Mandalorian fleet and most of the Republic fleet along with it. Thousands of Jedi died there. Many more lost their connection to the Force from the sheer magnitude of death. The commander who activated the weapon, who bore that weight, walked away from the Force entirely afterward. The Jedi exile. The records do not name them, but the story is clear. One person, one choice, and thousands dead. The kind of mathematics only war allows. You realize something sitting in Naga Sado's tomb, surrounded by the preserved evil of millennia. Revan's fall was not sudden. It was incremental. A series of small compromises, using anger to win a battle, accepting civilian casualties as necessary, ordering superweapons deployed because the alternative was worse. Each choice justified in the moment, each one making the next easier. That is how the dark side works. Not through dramatic corruption, but through erosion. You do not wake up a monster. You become one by degrees, and by the time you notice, you cannot remember who you were before. The final trial comes from Arthur himself. He has been watching your progress with growing unease. You are succeeding without fully embracing the dark side. That should not be possible. It threatens the entire structure of Sith teaching. Yuthira Ban approaches you privately. She makes an offer. Help her kill Yuther and take his position as Academy head. In exchange, she will let you leave with the star map data and your lives. You sense conflict in her. She was not born Sith. She was a slave, sold by her own people, tortured by her masters. The Sith offered her power to never be helpless again. She took it, but power did not heal the wounds. Slavery left. It just gave her better weapons to hurt others the way she was hurt. There is another way, you suggest. Leave with us. Return to the Jedi. You do not have to be what they made you. Yuthira laughs bitterly. The Jedi would never accept me. I have killed too many, fallen too far. You think of Ajunta Pal's ghost of redemption offered even to ancient evil. People can change, you insist, if they choose to. The confrontation with Yuther happens in the tomb. He knows Yuthira plans to betray him. He has planned to kill her first. When you refuse to help either of them murder the other, both turn on you. The fight is brutal. Yuther uses force lightning that crawls across your skin like liquid fire. Yuthira's lightsaber technique is flawless, trained by a master who accepted nothing less than perfection. Together they should overwhelm you. But you are not alone. Jolie fights beside you, his green blade a steady anchor. And at the critical moment, Euthura hesitates, sees in your desperate defense something she thought she had lost. The ability to fight for someone else instead of just yourself. She turns on Arthur. The reversal is total. Arthur dies cursing his apprentice's betrayal, never understanding that betrayal is what he taught her. In the aftermath, Euthura kneels. She wants to leave, to try, to see if redemption is possible for someone who has done what she has done. You bring her to the Ebon Hawk. Bastila is skeptical. Koth is hostile. But Jolie nods approval. Everyone deserves a chance to be better than they were, even Sith, especially Sith. You leave Korriban behind. The Valley of the Dark Lords shrinking in the viewport. You carry knowledge now, terrible knowledge. You know where the Star Forge waits. You know what it does to those who use it. And you know that Riven, whoever they were, walked this same path and fell. The question that haunts you as the stars stretch into hyperspace is simple and terrible. If Riven could not resist the dark side's pull, what makes you think you can? The trap springs between star systems, in the void where hyperspace becomes real space and ships are most vulnerable. One moment the Ebon Hawk is traveling through the familiar tunnel of light, the next alarms scream and the ship tears back into normal space with a violence that throws everyone against their restraints. Through the cockpit viewport you see it. A Sith interdictor cruiser, massive, bristling with weapons, its gravity well generators creating an artificial mass shadow that yanked you from hyperspace like a fish on a hook. And beyond it, larger still, a Sith capital ship that makes the interdictor look small by comparison. The Leviathan, Saul Karath's flagship, one of the most powerful vessels in Malak's fleet. Karth goes white. You see it happen. Color draining from his face as recognition and old rage war for dominance. That is Saul's ship, he says quietly. His voice has gone flat, emotionless, the tone of someone retreating into themselves to avoid feeling too much. Saul Karath was Karth's mentor, the man who taught him to fly, to fight, to serve the Republic with honor. Then Saul betrayed everything, defecting to Malak's Sith Empire and leading the bombardment of Talos, Karth's homeworld, where his wife died and his son disappeared and everything Karth loved turned to ash. The Ebon Hawk tries to run. Karth's hands fly across the controls with desperate precision, pushing the ship to limits it was not designed for. But the Leviathan is faster than it has any right to be. Tractor beams lock on, invisible force dragging you toward the docking bay no matter how hard the engines scream. You are caught. The boarding happens with military efficiency. Sith soldiers pour through the airlock, blasters trained on every entrance, every possible angle of resistance. You could fight, probably kill a dozen before they bring you down. But there are hundreds aboard this ship. Fighting now just means dying faster. Bastila makes the decision. Stand down. We surrender. The disarmament is thorough and humiliating. Every weapon removed. Lightsabers taken with particular care, sealed in containment boxes designed to prevent Force users from summoning them. Your companions are separated. Karth is dragged one direction. Mission and Zalabar another. You lose sight of Jolie and Canderous in the crowd of prisoners being herded through narrow corridors. But before they take you, Bastila grabs your arm. A touch sends a jolt through the Force bond you share. Listen to me, she hisses. One person. They always leave one to interrogate last. When they come for the others, that person can move freely, choose carefully. Then she is gone, pulled away by Sith guards, and you have seconds to decide who stays behind, who gets the impossible task of rescuing everyone else from a capital ship filled with enemies. You choose mission, small, fast, experienced at stealth from years surviving Taris's lower city. She protests, but you override her. Trust me, you can do this. They take you to the brig. The cells are force-caged, energy barriers replacing physical bars. You can see the others in adjacent cells. Karth paces like a caged predator. Bastila sits in meditation, but you sense her fear beneath the calm exterior. Canderous tests the barrier experimentally, pulling back when it shocks him. Then they come for you. The interrogation room is exactly what you would expect. Metal chair with restraints. Implements of torture arranged on a nearby table with the casual precision of a mechanic's tools. Lights angled to blind. And in the center of it all, waiting with the patience of someone who has done this 1,000 times, Saul Karath. He looks like Karth, older, harder, but the resemblance is there. Same build, same stance. The man Karth might have become if different choices had carried him down darker roads. Saul studies you with professional interest. Sit, he instructs. When you hesitate, soldiers force you into the chair. Restraints lock across your wrists and ankles. The chair itself hums with energy. A neural disruptor, you realize, designed to cause pain without leaving marks. So, Saul begins conversationally. The mysterious soldier who has been causing my master such irritation, rescuing Bastila Shan, stealing star maps from under our noses. Quite impressive for someone with no past. You say nothing. There is nothing to say that will not give him ammunition. Oh, we know about your missing memories. Saul smiles. It is not a kind expression. The records from Taris were quite detailed. And our spy a survivor with no history before military service. Force-sensitive, remarkably skilled in combat. The Jedi took you to Dantooine and started training you, which is unusual. They typically reject older students. He activates the neural disruptor. Pain floods your nervous system, not localized, everywhere at once. Every nerve firing simultaneously. It lasts 3 seconds, but feels like hours. When it stops, you are gasping. Saul has not moved. His expression has not changed. That was level 1, he says. We can go to level 10 if you prefer, or you can answer some questions. Where is the final star map? What is the Jedi Council's plan? How many ships does the Republic have in reserve? You tell him nothing, cannot tell him, do not know most of the answers. Anyway, he activates the disruptor again. Level 2. The pain is worse, exponentially worse. The interrogation continues. Pain, questions, more pain. Saul is patient. He has time. He is not angry or sadistic. This is just his job, breaking people, extracting information. He does it the way a butcher carves meat, with professional detachment. At some point, they bring Karth in, force him to watch, that breaks something in Saul's composure. For the first time, you see emotion cross his face. Regret, shame, it vanishes quickly, replaced by cold resolve. Karth Onasi, Saul says, my greatest student, my biggest disappointment. Karth strains against the guards holding him. You traitor, you murdered my world, my wife, everything I loved. I saved you, Saul replies, offered you a place in the New Order. You chose to cling to a dying republic. That is not my failure, that is yours. The disruptor activates again. Level 5. You scream, cannot help it. The pain overwhelms conscious thought. You are nothing but suffering. Stop, Karth shouts. Stop it. I will tell you whatever you want. Just stop. But Saul does not stop. He increases the intensity. Level 6. Your vision goes white. Unconsciousness hovers at the edge of perception, merciful and unreachable. Then, alarms sound. Distant, getting closer. Someone has triggered security alerts elsewhere on the ship. Saul swears, deactivates the disruptor. Your body goes limp in the chair, muscles twitching from neural overload. Find out what that is. Saul orders the guards. Kill whoever is responsible. Bring me their body. The guards leave. For a moment it is just you, Carth, and Saul in the interrogation room. You know what is funny? Saul says quietly. I taught Carth that loyalty was the highest virtue. Serve the Republic. Protect the innocent. Die for something greater than yourself. And he learned so well that when the Republic became corrupt, when it failed its own people, he could not see it, could not adapt. That is not loyalty. Carth spits. That is slavery. The Republic has problems. Every government does, but at least it tries. Your Sith Empire does not even pretend to care about people. You serve Malak because he is strong, and the moment someone stronger comes along, you will betray him too. Saul's expression hardens. I serve order, stability. Malak will bring both to a galaxy drowning in chaos. If that requires harsh methods, so be it. You murdered billions on Taris. You managed to say through damaged vocal cords, that is not harsh methods. That is genocide. Saul looks at you properly for the first time, studies your face. Something shifts in his expression. Surprise? Recognition? You really do not know, do you? He says wonderingly. They really did erase everything. Malak was right. The Jedi's arrogance is limitless. Before you can ask what he means, the door explodes inward. Mission stands in the gap, blaster in one hand, the other companions behind her. She has done the impossible, freed everyone, armed them from the ship's armory, fought through however many Sith soldiers stood between the brig and here. Saul draws his blaster. The fight is close and brutal in the cramped space. Carth breaks free from his guards, finds a weapon from a fallen soldier. Bastila's lightsaber ignites, yellow blade humming with barely contained fury. Saul takes a hit, then another. He falls, bleeding from wounds that will not heal. Carth stands over him, blaster pointed at his former mentor's head. Do it, Saul rasps. But you should know something first, about your friend, about who they really are. Malak is coming. He will tell you everything. And when he does, you will understand why we had to stop them. Why erasing their memory was not enough. Carth hesitates. The moment stretches. Then he lowers his blaster. I am not like you. I do not kill defeated enemies. Saul laughs. It turns into a cough. Blood flecks his lips. You already are like me. You just will not admit it yet. He dies, still laughing. The alarms are constant now. The entire ship knows you have escaped. You run through corridors filled with Sith soldiers. Bastila and Jolie cut through them with elegant precision. Canderous provides covering fire that forces enemies into cover. Mission's small size lets her slip through defenses and disable blast doors. You make it halfway to the docking bay before Malak appears. He comes alone. No guards, no escort, just himself and the absolute certainty of power. Darth Malak, Dark Lord of the Sith, wearing armor black as void, his jaw replaced with a mechanical prosthetic that makes his voice sound artificial and cold. Running, he observes. How disappointing. I expected better from my old master. The words do not make sense. You are not his master. You are a Republic soldier with no past, but everyone freezes. Your companions, the Sith soldiers, everyone. Bastila steps forward. Do not listen to him. He lies. It is what Sith do. Malak's attention shifts to her. Dear Bastila, still playing protector, still hiding the truth. Tell me, do your companions know what you and the Council did? How you violated every principle you claim to uphold? Carth looks between you and Bastila. What is he talking about? Malak smiles. It is a terrible expression on that mechanical jaw. Let me show you. He reaches into the Force, not attacking, showing, projecting images directly into your mind. Memories, not yours, his. The visions come like a dam breaking, 20 years of memories flooding back through cracks. Malak tears in the barriers the Jedi constructed around your mind. You see the Mandalorian Wars from the bridge of a Republic capital ship, not as a soldier, as the commander, the revanchist, the Jedi who defied the Council and led the Republic to victory when no one else would. The battles play out in accelerated time, Dx Undoran, then Quor, Taris, before it became a Sith world. Worlds burning, because the Mandalorians wanted conquest and the Republic was too weak to stop them without help. The Jedi Council meditated and debated while people died. You stopped asking permission and started giving orders. Malak was there beside you, not the monster he is now. A friend, your closest companion. Together you turned the tide. Found weaknesses in Mandalorian tactics, won battles that should have been losses, saved the Republic from extinction. But victory required things the Council would never sanction. Mass Shadow Generator at Malika Vol. The superweapon that crushed both fleets, Mandalorian and Republic. Thousands of your own soldiers dead in an instant, because the alternative was losing the war and watching the galaxy fall. You gave the order. You lived with the consequences. After the Mandalorians surrendered, you took Mandalore the Ultimate's mask, the symbol of their leadership, kept it so they could never rally again. Then you chased the remnants into the unknown regions, because someone had to know why they attacked in the first place. Mandalorians do not wage war without purpose. Someone gave them orders. Someone manipulated them. You found the answer on Dromund Kaas, the Sith Empire that survived the Great Hyperspace War, hiding beyond known space for 1,000 years, building strength, preparing invasion, led by an emperor so old and powerful his name was myth, even among Sith. The emperor touched your mind. You remember that, the feeling of something vast and ancient pressing into your consciousness, showing you the truth of the galaxy, the futility of the Republic's ideals, the inevitability of Sith dominance. He turned Malak, sent you back to weaken the Republic before the real invasion began. But something unexpected happened. You started to remember yourself, to question the Emperor's orders. You realized that if the Sith Empire invaded, everyone would die. Republic and Sith alike consumed by the Emperor's hunger, so you changed the plan. You would use the Starforge to build your own fleet, conquer the Republic quickly, unite the galaxy under your control, then turn that strength against the true Sith when they came. It was still evil, still tyranny. But it was tyranny with a purpose, the lesser evil to prevent the greater one. Malak saw only the power. The Starforge fed his ambition, corrupted him faster than it corrupted you. When you tried to rein him in, when you started making plans to eventually restore Republic democracy after the true Sith threat was eliminated, Malak grew suspicious. The betrayal came during a battle with a Republic fleet. Bastila Shan led a Jedi strike team aboard your flagship. While you dueled her, Malak made his choice. He ordered his ships to fire on your vessel, on you, attempting to kill his master and seize the Empire for himself. The blast tore through the bridge. You remember dying. Bastila's horrified face as your ship broke apart around you. Then nothing. When you woke, you were someone else, a Republic soldier. No past, no memory, just a blank slate the Jedi could use for their own purposes. The vision releases you. You stagger, mind reeling. Your companions are frozen in shock. Karth has gone pale again. Mission is crying silently. Even Canderous looks disturbed. Malak watches with satisfaction. Now you know. You are Revan, the prodigal knight, the greatest hero the Republic ever produced, and the greatest threat. The Jedi mind-wiped you, rewrote your personality, sent you on this quest hoping your subconscious would lead them to the Starforge while your conscious mind remained ignorant. You used me, you say to Bastila. The words feel hollow, inadequate for the magnitude of betrayal. Bastila's face is anguish, incarnate. We saved the galaxy. You were going to destroy everything. We had no choice. There is always a choice, Jelly says quietly. You just chose the easy one. Violation over trust, control over faith. Malak spreads his arms. Come with me, old master. Reclaim your empire. Together we can rule the galaxy as we always should have. Kill the Jedi who enslaved you. Destroy the Republic that failed you. Embrace your true nature. The dark side whispers agreement. Every word Malak speaks makes sense. The Jedi did violate you. The Council did use you as a weapon while denying you agency. Your anger is justified. Your rage is righteous. But Jolly's lessons echo beneath the anger. You are what you choose to be, not what you were, not what others made you, what you choose. You reject Malak. His expression shifts from satisfaction to fury in an instant. Then you are a fool. You will die here, and I will take everything you gathered. The star maps, your ship, your companions, all of it mine. The battle should be impossible. Malak is a Sith Lord at the height of his power. He wields the Force like a weapon forged from pure hate. Lightning erupts from his hands. The ground cracks beneath Force-enhanced strikes. He is faster than any human should be, stronger than physics allows. But you are Revan. The name means nothing emotionally. The memories feel like stories about someone else, but the muscle memory remains. Your body remembers how to fight, even if your mind does not fully accept it yet. Your lightsaber meets his in a clash of energies, blue against red. The impact sends shockwaves through the Force. You counter his aggression with techniques you do not remember learning. Juyo, the ferocity form, forbidden to Jedi because it channels emotion into combat. You use it anyway because right now you are drowning in emotion. Bastila joins the fight. Her yellow blade creates openings. Through the Force bond you feel her desperate need for forgiveness. Her terror that you will become Malak's apprentice again. Her hope that some part of the person she has come to care about still exists beneath the revelations. The battle rages across the corridor. Malak is losing. He can feel it. Desperation creeps into his attacks. He abandons technique for raw power, throws everything into each strike. Then Bastila makes her choice. She throws herself between you and Malak's Force lightning, takes the full blast, screams as electricity courses through her body. Go, she gasps. Escape. I will hold him. Malak grins. Oh no, not this time. This time I keep her. She will be mine. Another apprentice to replace the one I lost. And when you face me again, she will be the one trying to kill you. He grabs Bastila with the Force, drags her toward him, despite her struggles. Sith soldiers pour into the corridor behind him. Dozens, too many to fight. Your companions are already running. Karth grabs your arm. We have to go. Now, you run. It feels like cowardice, like abandonment. But staying means death, and dead you cannot save anyone. The escape to the Ebon Hawk is chaos. Running fire fights through corridors, sealed blast doors you have to slice or force push through. Jolly provides cover while Mission hacks terminals. Zalabar carries injured soldiers. Canderous seems to be enjoying himself despite everything. You make it to the docking bay. The Ebon Hawk's ramp is down, engines already warming. But between you and safety, a dozen Sith troops with heavy repeating blasters set up kill zones. Carth does not hesitate. He runs forward, draws fire, gives the others time to board, takes 3 hits before he makes it to cover, keeps shooting even bleeding. You realize this is his redemption, for surviving Tellus when his family did not, for trusting Saul once, for every mistake he thinks he made. You drag him aboard. The ramp closes. The Ebon Hawk lifts with Sith troops still firing. Turbolaser batteries track your escape. Carth, injured but conscious, pilots with one hand while applying pressure to his wounds with the other. The Leviathan tries to hold you with tractor beams, tries to destroy you with turbolasers, but Carth is too good. He plots a course through debris fields and energy fire that should be impossible. The Ebon Hawk's shields scream under the abuse, hull plating burns away, but you break free. Hyperspace envelops you. The Leviathan and its horrors shrink to a point of light and vanish. In the sudden silence, everyone processes what happened, what was revealed, who you really are. Carth cannot look at you. His voice when he speaks is carefully neutral. So, Revan, the Butcher of Malachor, the Dark Lord, who nearly destroyed the Republic, that is who I have been flying around the galaxy. Mission is trying not to cry. You are still you, right? You are still our friend. Canderous laughs. It is not a comfortable sound. I knew there was something familiar about you. The way you fight, the tactics you use. I fought against Revan for 3 years. Should have recognized the pattern. Only Jolie seems unsurprised. I suspected, he admits. The Force signature was too strong, the combat skills too refined. The Council does not train people that fast. So either you were a prodigy, or you already knew everything and just had to remember. The question hangs unspoken. Who are you now? The person created by the Jedi Council, or Revan, waking up after a long sleep? You do not know the answer. Stand in the Ebon Hawk's main hold, surrounded by people who trusted you, and feel the weight of 2 lives pressing down, the one you lived and cannot fully recall, the one you have been living for the past month since Taris. HK-47 approaches. His photoreceptors focus on you with new intensity. Statement. I am pleased to see you remember, Master. My memory restoration protocols have been attempting to alert you to your identity for some time. Observation. You built me to serve Revan. I am gratified to serve Revan once more. That confirmation somehow makes it real in a way the visions did not. You built HK-47, programmed an assassin droid, used it to kill people remotely while maintaining deniability. That is who you were. The question is who you choose to be now. Outside the viewport, stars stream past in hyperspace. You have all the star maps except Lihon's coordinates, which you can now extrapolate. You know where the Starforge waits. You know Malak will go there with Bastila. You know the Republic fleet is losing without her battle meditation. You know you could reclaim your empire, your power, your place as Dark Lord. Or you could finish what you started, find the Starforge, destroy it, deny Malak, his infinite fleet, save the galaxy from the darkness you helped create. 2 paths, both clear, both possible. For the first time since Taris, you must choose who you are without anyone telling you. The galaxy waits, the Force waits. You wait, standing in the heart of a ship fleeing through hyperspace, carrying the weight of 2 lifetimes and the knowledge that whatever you decide next will echo across the stars for generations. The Ebon Hawk drifts through hyperspace, while its crew falls apart. Carth retreats to the cockpit and does not come out. You can see him through the doorway, running diagnostic checks that do not need running, cleaning systems already clean, anything to avoid conversation. The betrayal cuts deeper because of how personal it is. Saul Karath destroyed his world. Revan gave the orders that made such tactics acceptable. You are the architect of the philosophy that killed Karth's family, even if you were not physically present when Tellus burned. When you finally force the conversation, standing in the cockpit doorway, until he has to acknowledge you, the words come hard and angry. 3 years I have been hunting you, Karth says, without turning from the controls. 3 years trying to stop the Sith conquest, and the whole time I was traveling with the person who started it all. The Council's little puppet, dancing on strings while they used you to find the Starforge. You tell him you did not know that the person who gave those orders is not who you are now. Is that supposed to make me feel better? Karth's hands grip the controls hard enough that his knuckles go white. My wife is still dead. My son still hates me for not being there. Thousands of worlds still burn. Saying you do not remember does not undo any of it. The silence stretches. Outside, hyperspace streams past in lines of light. But you are not him anymore, Karth continues quietly. I have watched you for months now, seen the choices you make, how you talk to Mission like she matters, how you negotiate instead of dominate. Revan would not have done those things. Revan was efficient, tactical, would have shot the Sand People and taken their resources rather than waste time on diplomacy. He finally turns to look at you. I do not know if I can forgive what you were, but I can work with who you are now. That is going to have to be enough. It is not absolution. It is barely acceptance, but it is something. Mission takes it differently. She finds you in the cargo hold where you have been standing for an hour, staring at nothing, trying to reconcile 2 lifetimes of memory. So you are like a really important person, she says. Her voice is small, uncertain, not the confident street kid who talked her way out of Taris. You tell her you are the same person she has known since the Undercity. Same person who needed her help to survive. Same person who laughs at her jokes and protects her when things get dangerous. But you were bad before. Mission persists. You did bad things. Yes. Are you going to do bad things again? The question deserves honesty. You tell her you do not know, that the dark side whispers constantly now. That remembering who you were makes it harder to be who you want to be, but you are trying. Mission considers this with the seriousness of someone who has survived by reading people accurately. Then I am staying, because trying is what matters. Anyone can be good when it is easy. Being good when it is hard, that is what makes you a hero. She hugs you, fierce and quick, then disappears before you can respond. Zalbar simply places one massive paw on your shoulder and rumbles something in Shariwuk that needs no translation. Life debt transcends past mistakes. You saved him. He will save you. Simple as that. Jolie is the least surprised and most helpful. He finds you on the 2nd day sitting in the meditation chamber the ship's previous owners installed and never used. Told you I suspected, he says, settling into a sitting position with the stiffness of old joints. The Force does not lie about these things. You are too strong, too skilled, too familiar with darkness to be a new student. You ask why he did not say anything. Would you have believed me? Jolie shakes his head. Some truths people have to discover themselves. The Jedi Council learned that the hard way. You cannot force wisdom. You can only present circumstances where wisdom might grow. The conversations turn philosophical. Jolie has spent decades thinking about the nature of identity and choice. He left the Jedi Order because he refused to accept that one mistake, one fall, defines a person forever. His wife fell to the dark side. He loved her anyway, tried to save her anyway. When he failed, when she died, the council wanted him to feel nothing, to move on as if decades of marriage meant nothing. I could not do that, Javi says. She was worth mourning, worth the pain of loss. The Jedi Code says there is no emotion, there is peace. But peace without emotion is not peace, it is just numbness. You ask if he thinks you can truly change. If Revan's nature will reassert itself eventually. Jali is quiet for a long moment. I think, he says finally, that you are asking the wrong question. You are not changing from Revan into someone else. You are discovering who you were always capable of being. Revan made choices under pressure, in war, with incomplete information. You are making different choices now. Same person, different circumstances. That is not change, that is growth. The revelation about your identity forces examination of everything you have done since Taris. Every choice, every action. Suddenly suspect. Were you genuinely being kind, or was Revan's tactical mind calculating optimal outcomes? Did you help people because it was right, or because winning loyalty serves long-term goals? The uncertainty is maddening. You cannot trust your own motivations anymore. Canderous provides unexpected perspective. He corners you in the crew quarters with the directness of someone who has no patience for emotional subtlety. You are thinking too much, he says. I fought Revan for 3 years. Know what I learned. You were brilliant, ruthless when necessary, but you had honor. You did not torture prisoners, did not target civilians unnecessarily, followed rules of war even when breaking them would have been easier. That matters. You point out that you ordered Malachor V, that thousands died including your own troops, and saved billions, Canderous counters. War is mathematics, ugly mathematics. You chose the option that killed fewest people. That is not evil. That is command. I respect that even though I was on the losing side. He stands to leave, then pauses. The Mandalorians follow strength. After we surrendered, you could have massacred us, erased our culture. Instead, you took Mandalore's mask and told us to rebuild better. That is why I am here. Because Revan understood that winning the war was not the same as destroying the enemy. Most conquerors do not grasp that distinction. HK-47 is thrilled. His enthusiasm is deeply unsettling. Statement, the droid announces. It is gratifying to serve under my original programming parameters. Again, query. Shall I resume assassination protocols? I have compiled a list of meatbags whose termination would advance our strategic objectives. You tell him absolutely not. No assassinations, no terminations, no killing unless directly threatened. Disappointment. Each case photoreceptors dim slightly. As you wish, Master. Though I must observe that your current methodology is significantly less efficient than your previous operational parameters. The droid does provide useful information, though. As his memory restores, he recalls missions you sent him on. Assassinating corrupt Republic officials who were selling military secrets. Eliminating Sith who were too sadistic, even by Sith standards. The targets were not innocent, but the methods were still murder. You used me to keep your hands clean, HK explains with something resembling pride. Public Revan could maintain moral authority while I handled necessary wet work. Quite elegant, really. The picture emerging is complex. Revan was not a monster, but Revan was not a hero either. Somewhere in between. Someone who believed the ends justified the means and had enough tactical brilliance to make that philosophy seem reasonable. You spend hours in the archives, accessing what data the Ebon Hawk's computers contain about the Mandalorian Wars and subsequent Jedi Civil War, reading after-action reports written in your own hand, studying tactical decisions from the perspective of subordinates, building a psychological profile of who you were. The person in those files is competent, charismatic, willing to make impossible choices, but there is coldness there too. A calculation that treats people as resources rather than individuals, soldiers as numbers, civilians as acceptable losses when percentages favor it. You do not like that person, would not want to meet them, certainly would not want to become them again. The final piece of the puzzle emerges when you plot coordinates for Leon, the unknown world, Rakata Prime. The star maps all pointed here. This is where the Star Forge waits, where Malak will take Bastila, where everything will be decided. T3M4, the little astromech droid you acquired on Taris, suddenly activates a hidden partition in his memory, projects a hologram. It is Bastila, recorded months ago, before the Leviathan, before everything changed. If you are seeing this, her hologram says, then you know the truth about yourself, about what the Council did. I want you to understand that we did not make this decision lightly. You were dying when I found you on your ship. The dark side had corrupted you so thoroughly that bringing you back as you were would have meant releasing a monster on the galaxy. The hologram Bastila takes a breath, but I have watched you these past months, seen the person you became when freed from Revan's burdens. You are kinder than he was, more patient. You see people rather than resources. If you can hold on to that, if you can choose to be this person instead of reverting to what you were, then maybe the Council's violation was justified. Maybe erasing Revan was not murder, but mercy. She pauses. I am sorry we lied. I am sorry I lied. You deserved the truth. But I do not regret helping you become who you are now. That person is worth knowing, worth saving, worth loving. The hologram ends. Bastila's face freezes in an expression of hope and fear. You stand in the Ebonhawk's main hold, surrounded by companions who have chosen to stay despite knowing who you were. Karth bitter but committed. Mission loyal, Zelabar unwavering, Jolie wise, Canderous respectful, even HK-47 in his murderous way. They do not follow Revan, they follow you. The person you have been for these months since Taris. That has to mean something. The coordinates for Leon are locked in. The journey will take 2 days through hyperspace. 2 days to prepare, to decide who you want to be when this ends. Because you can feel it approaching, the final confrontation. Malak on the Star Forge with infinite ships and Bastila corrupted to his service. The Republic fleet losing ground every day without her battle meditation. The galaxy balanced on a knife edge. And you, standing at the fulcrum point where your choices will tip everything toward light or darkness. Jolie finds you staring out the viewport at hyperspace's streaming light. Nervous, he asks. Terrified. Good, fear keeps you honest. It is when you stop being afraid of what you might become, that you become. The old Jedi sits beside you. Together you watch the universe flow past, heading toward whatever waits on Lehon, toward the Star Forge and Malak and Bastila, and the darkness that wants to reclaim you. Toward a choice that will define not just who you are, but who you choose to remain. Lehon appears through the viewport like a jewel, forgotten by gods. Tropical paradise. Endless ocean broken by archipelagos of white sand and emerald jungle. No cities visible from orbit, no obvious civilization, just pristine wilderness that has existed unchanged for 20,000 years. And above it all, visible even from this distance, the Star Forge. The space station dominates near-orbital space. Massive does not adequately describe it. The structure is larger than some moons, built according to geometries that hurt to look at directly. Ships pour from construction bays in steady streams. Fighters, frigates, capital ships, all bearing Sith insignia. an infinite fleet being born in real time from dark side energy and raw matter. The Sith blockade detects you immediately. Interdictor cruisers move to intercept. Fighter squadrons scramble. You have perhaps minutes before overwhelming force arrives to destroy you. Then the planet itself intervenes. Ancient Rakatan defense systems, dormant for millennia, activate at your approach. Massive disruptor fields lance out from the surface, not targeting you, targeting everything in orbit. The Sith fleet scatters as their ship systems fail. Engines go dark, weapons offline. The technological superiority Malak relies upon rendered useless by technology older than recorded history. The Ebon Hawk is caught in the same effect. Karth fights the controls as systems fail one by one. Hyperdrive offline. Repulsor lifts failing. Shields gone. The ship falls toward Lehon, not flying, but dropping, a brick with wings tumbling through increasingly thick atmosphere. Everyone to crash positions, Karth shouts. This is going to be rough. Rough is generous. The Ebon Hawk hits treetops at terminal velocity, tears through jungle canopy, impacts beach sand and skips like a stone across water, finally grinds to a halt, half buried in a dune, systems sparking, hull breached in a dozen places. You drag yourself from the wreckage, check for injuries, bruises, cuts, nothing critical. Around you, the others emerge. Mission is crying, but unhurt. Zadalbar carries her despite his own injuries. Jolie looks annoyed, more than damaged. Kandras is already checking weapons. HK-47 complains about sand in his actuators. Karth is last out, limping, one arm cradled against his chest. The ship is done, he reports. Maybe repairable with parts we do not have, and time we do not have. We are stranded. The beach is beautiful in a way that makes the situation surreal. White sand, crystalline water, dual suns warming skin, paradise as prison. Then they emerge from the jungle. Rakatan, descendants of the infinite empire, bipedal, amphibious, with skin that shifts between green and blue. They wear minimal clothing, carry primitive weapons, move with the confidence of people on their own territory. Two groups approach from different directions. The tension between them is immediately apparent. The first group is led by an elder Rakatan who introduces himself as the One, his translator. A protocol droid older than anything you have seen converts his speech to basic. You are the One. The prophecy spoke of an outlander who would come when the Starforge woke again. You must help us reclaim our birthright. Help us restore the infinite empire to glory. The second group's leader calls himself simply the Elder. His faction wears different markings, carries themselves with less aggression. We reject the dark side that destroyed our people. The Starforge is a curse. It must remain sealed. You must help us ensure it stays buried. Both factions want your assistance. Both make clear that refusing will be met with violence. You gather your companions in the wrecked ship to discuss options. The factions represent philosophical opposites. The One's tribe embraces the power that once made them galactic conquerors. The Elders seek redemption from that legacy. Helping either means opposing the other. Jolly advocates for the Elders, people trying to move past their mistakes, deserve support. The Rakatan fell because they became dependent on the dark side. Helping them reclaim that path just repeats history. Kandras surprisingly agrees. I fought for Mandalore because he was strong. When strength without purpose, it becomes destruction for its own sake. The Elders understand that. The warriors do not. You choose the Elders, partially for practical reasons, since you need their help to access the ancient temple, partially because their philosophy aligns with who you are trying to become. Someone who acknowledges past evil while choosing differently going forward. The Elders are grateful but cautious. They lead you deeper into the jungle, explaining Lihon's history as you walk. The Rakatan Infinite Empire conquered the known galaxy 25,000 years ago, built the Star Forge as the ultimate expression of their power. But the dark side is not sustainable, it consumes. The Rakatan became so dependent on force-powered technology that when a plague stripped their force sensitivity, everything collapsed overnight. Slaves rebelled, the empire fragmented, billions died. The survivors were stranded on Lehan, their homeworld, cut off from the galaxy they once ruled. For 20,000 years they have lived here, some like the elders, seeking to atone, others like the One's warriors, dreaming of restoration. The Temple of the Ancients rises from the jungle like a geometric impossibility. Rakatan architecture operates on principles human minds struggle to process. Angles that should not support weight, surfaces that reflect light in ways physics does not permit. The structure is ancient beyond measure, but shows no decay, built to last eternities. Inside, trials await. Not physical combat, but moral tests. Holograms activate. Ancient Rakatan AIs that have waited millennia to judge visitors. They present scenarios, test motivations. Each trial forces examination of why you seek the Star Forge. For power? For revenge? For control? The wrong answers trigger defenses. Combat droids 20,000 years old but perfectly functional. Force traps that exploit dark side tendencies. You answer honestly. You seek the Star Forge to deny it to Malakay, to prevent it being used to conquer the galaxy. Not because you want its power, but because you understand what that power does to people. You have been that person. You refuse to become them again. The temple accepts your answers, grants passage. In the central chamber controls weight that can disable the orbital disruptor field, can allow ships to function, can open the way to the Star Forge. And standing in that chamber, waiting as if she knew you would come, is Bastila. She has changed. The warm browns of Jedi robes replaced by black and red Sith armor. Her eyes reflect yellow, the physical manifestation of dark side corruption. The force around her feels different, colder, sharper, like standing near a blade naked and unsheathed. "You came," she says. Her voice carries echoes of the person she was, but twisted, hardened. "I knew you would. The bond we share, it called you here. You ask what Malak did to her. Nothing I did not choose," Bastila replies. She circles you slowly, predatory. "He showed me the truth, that the Jedi Council used us both, violated us both. Me through lies, you through mind alteration. We are victims of their arrogance." You point out that becoming Sith does not undo what the Council did. It just replaces one master with another. Bastila laughs, sharp and bitter. "I am no one's apprentice. Malak thinks I serve him. But I remember who you were, what you were. Together we could overthrow him, reclaim the Star Forge, rule as equals. The Council erased your memory, but not your potential. You are still riven beneath their conditioning." The offer is seductive, not because you want power, but because part of you wants revenge on the Council, wants to prove that their violation failed, that Revan cannot be erased so easily. And Bastila is offering partnership. The bond you share through battle meditation makes her feelings transparent. She genuinely believes this, has convinced herself that embracing the dark side is liberation rather than enslavement. You could accept, take her hand, reclaim your identity as Dark Lord. Part of you, the part that remembers ruling an empire, wants exactly that. But you think about Mission's loyalty, Karth's painful trust, Jalee's wisdom about identity being choice rather than destiny. You think about the Rakatan, whose empire collapsed because power without purpose becomes poison. You reject Bastila's offer. Her expression shifts, hope dying, replaced by resignation and rage mixed together. Then you are a fool, and you will die a fool. The battle is agony. Not physically, though. She is skilled and fighting for keeps, emotionally. Every clash of lightsabers echoes through the Force bond. You feel her pain, her corruption, her desperate hope that you will give in and join her. She feels your determination, your care for her even now, your refusal to abandon her to darkness. You fight not to kill, but to break through the lies Malak fed her. Between strikes, you speak, remind her of conversations on the Ebon Hawk, of quiet moments meditating together, of the person she was before torture and corruption. I loved that person. You tell her, I love who you could still be. Bastila falters. Just for a moment. The dark side has not fully claimed her yet. Some part of the Jedi she was remains buried beneath Malak's conditioning. You press the advantage, not with violence, but with compassion. Through the Force bond, you show her what you have learned. That strength does not require cruelty. That power without conscience is slavery. That the dark side promises freedom, but delivers only chains. She breaks, drops her lightsaber, falls to her knees. The yellow fades from her eyes gradually, like a poison being purged. What have I done? She whispers. Ah, Force, what have I done? You help her stand. Tell her that falling is not permanent, that redemption is possible, that you are living proof people can change. The temple's systems unlock. The disruptor field lowers. Above in orbit, ships regain function. The Sith fleet recovers, but so does the small Republic flotilla that was hiding on Lechon's far side. Admiral Thorn Dodonna's voice crackles through emergency comm systems. All Republic forces, this is Admiral Dodonna. The Starforge is vulnerable. All ships, attack pattern Delta for the Republic. The final battle begins. You have a choice. Repair the Ebon Hawk well enough to reach orbit, join the assault on the Starforge, face Malak in his fortress of infinite ships. Or turn away. Let the Republic fight without you. Disappear into the unknown regions and never look back. Bastila watches you decide, redeemed but fragile, trusting you to choose correctly. Your companions wait, ready to follow wherever you lead. The Starforge hangs in orbit, waiting, the dark side condensed into physical form, infinite power and infinite corruption offered freely to anyone strong enough to claim it. You board the repaired ship, plot course for the Starforge, not because you want power, because Malak must be stopped, and you are the only one who can do it. The approach to the Starforge is through a graveyard of ships, Republic vessels burning, Sith fighters swarming like insects. The space station dominates the viewport, growing larger until it fills all available vision. Up close, the wrongness of it becomes apparent. The architecture defies rational geometry. Surfaces seem to shift when viewed peripherally. The dark side radiates from it like heat from a star. Carth pilots through the chaos with desperate skill, dodges fire from 3 directions simultaneously, uses debris as cover. The Ebon Hawk was not built for this kind of combat, but Carth makes it work anyway. A docking bay looms. Sith ships pour out in continuous streams. Carth threads between them, flying upstream against the current. Turbo laser fire brackets the ship. Shields collapse. Tull plating burns away, but you make it inside. The bay is massive. Hundreds of ships in various stages of construction. Assembly lines staffed by droids and corrupted technicians. The Starforge does not just build ships, it converts raw matter directly into finished products through dark side alchemy. Physics and engineering merged with Sith sorcery. Your landing is more controlled crash than precision flying. The ship settles hard. Systems fail completely. Smoke pours from engine compartments. "This is it," Koft says. "No flying out of here. We win or we die." You select your companions carefully. Jolie for his wisdom and combat experience. Bastila, because her battle meditation, even weakened, might turn the tide. The others stay with the ship, Mission and Zalabar, to guard the Ebon Hawk, Canderous and Karth, to coordinate with Republic forces. HK-47, because bringing an assassination droid to a climactic confrontation feels inappropriate, even if the droid disagrees. The Starforge's interior is a nightmare of industrial production and dark side corruption. Forges burn with flames that cast no heat. Assembly lines construct war machines from nothing. Dark Jedi patrol the corridors, corrupted students from the Sith Academy and fallen Jedi who could not resist Malak's offers. You fight through level after level. Lightsabers clash in narrow passages. Force lightning arcs between combatants. Jolie moves with economical precision, his green blade a steady counterpoint to your blue. Bastila fights desperately, trying to prove through action that her redemption is genuine. The Starforge resists your presence, not just through Sith defenders, but through the structure itself. The dark side is woven into every surface. Walking these corridors drains willpower. Whispers promise power in exchange for submission. The temptation grows stronger with each step toward the throne room. You pass windows overlooking the factory floor, see the scale of Malak's operation. Tens of thousands of ships being constructed simultaneously, an infinite fleet limited only by raw materials, and the Starforge can convert asteroids, debris, anything into more ships. Given time, Malak could conquer the entire galaxy through simple numerical superiority. But the Starforge is not just producing ships, it feeds on death. The battle raging outside, Republic and Sith killing each other, strengthens the station. Every life lost fuels its production. It is a perpetual motion machine of darkness. War creates the Starforge's power. That power prolongs the war. The cycle continues indefinitely. The revelation is sickening. You built this strategy. Revan understood the Starforge's nature and planned to use it anyway. Conquer quickly, unite the galaxy, then turn that strength against the true Sith Empire. But Malak lacks that long-term vision. He uses the Starforge for simple conquest. The war will never end because ending it would weaken his power base. The throne room doors loom, massive, ornate, covered in Sith hieroglyphs that hurt to read. You sense Malak beyond them, waiting. He has known since you landed that you were coming. This confrontation was inevitable. From the moment Bastila's strike team boarded your ship and Malak fired on you both. The doors open. Malak's throne room overlooks the primary construction bay. Floor-to-ceiling windows show ships being born from dark side energy. The throne itself is a monument to ego, too large, too ornate. Compensation for insecurity rather than expression of genuine power. Malak stands before it. His mechanical jaw gleams in the red light. His armor is pristine, black and silver, more ceremonial than functional. He holds his lightsaber casually, red blade already ignited. "Master," he says. The word drips contempt. "You finally arrive. I have been waiting, wondering if the Jedi's puppet would remember enough of itself to be worth killing." You tell him, you remember everything. The Mandalorian Wars, the true Sith Empire, the plan to unite the galaxy, and you remember him as an apprentice, powerful but impatient, brilliant but lacking wisdom. Malak's expression hardens. You were weak, compromised. You started making plans to restore the Republic after using it. That was never the mission. The mission was conquest, pure and absolute. You lost sight of that, so I corrected your failure. You point out that his correction has led to endless war, that the Republic is wounded but not defeated, that his infinite fleet means nothing if he cannot use it effectively. I am stronger than you ever were, Malak snarls. The Starforge answers to me now. Its power flows through me. You are nothing but a shadow, a ghost the Jedi created, not even real. The battle begins. Malak is fast, faster than he was when you last fought him. The Starforge has enhanced his abilities beyond natural limits. His strikes carry the weight of the dark side. Each blow hammers down like falling stars. You block, but each impact sends shockwaves up your arms. Bastila and Jolie engage him from different angles, trying to divide his attention. But Malak adapted his style to handle multiple opponents. He spins, blocks Bastila's strike, force pushes Jolie into a wall hard enough to crack stone. You are alone facing him, lightsabers locked. Malak's mechanical face inches from yours. Do you know what the difference is between us? Malak asks. I embrace what I am. You apologize for it. That hesitation will kill you. He breaks the lock, unleashes force lightning from his free hand. You catch it on your blade, redirecting it into the floor. The energy burns through metal, creates molten craters. The fight rages across the throne room. You use every technique you remember, every form. Shicho's broad strikes, Makashi's precision, Ataru's acrobatics, Juyo's controlled aggression. Nothing works. Malak has prepared for all of it. Then he reveals his advantage. Along the walls, stasis pods activate. Inside them, Jedi, captured from battles across the galaxy, held in suspended animation. Malak reaches out through the Force, drains their life energy. Their strength flows into him. Wounds heal. Fatigue vanishes. He is making himself effectively immortal. As long as the captive Jedi survive, he cannot be defeated. You have a choice. Dark side solution is simple. Drain the Jedi yourself. Use their death to power your own strength. Fight Malak with his own tactics. Light side requires destroying the stasis pods, releasing or killing the Jedi inside, denying Malak his resource while refusing to exploit it yourself. Harder, slower, more dangerous. You choose light, run from Malak, target the pods. Your lightsaber cuts through technology 20,000 years old. The first pod opens. The Jedi inside collapses, too weak to move but alive, free. Malak roars, fury, pursues you, but you are faster, more motivated. You free pod after pod. Some Jedi die anyway, too far gone. Others survive barely. A few even stand to help, though they are too drained for combat. The final pod opens. Malak has no more reserves, no more stolen life to sustain him, just his own power against yours. The battle becomes pure skill. Two masters of lightsaber combat, both trained by the same teachers, both enhanced by the Force, neither holding anything back. You are evenly matched in technique. But Malak fights with hatred, with rage, with a dark side feeding his aggression. You fight with purpose, with acceptance of what you were, and determination to be better. The difference is subtle, but decisive. Malak begins to tire. His strikes grow wider. Desperation creeps into his attacks. He throws everything into each blow, abandoning defense for overwhelming offense. You wait, patient, looking for the opening. It comes. Malak overextends, puts too much into a strike that should kill if it lands. You sidestep. Your blade finds the gap in his defense, cuts through armor, through flesh. Malak falls. You stand over him, lightsaber raised for the killing blow. He is defeated, but not dead. One strike ends it. The dark side whispers, "Finish him. He betrayed you, murdered billions, deserves death." But killing defeated enemies is what Sith do. You lower your blade. Malak laughs. It becomes a cough. Blood flecks his mechanical jaw. You hesitate, even now. That is why I won. Why I had to betray you. You were too weak to do what was necessary. You tell him that mercy is not weakness. That choosing not to kill when you could is strength. Malak's expression shifts. The hatred fades slightly. For just a moment, you see the person he was before corruption. The Jedi who followed you into war because he believed it was right. The friend who stood beside you against impossible odds. "I almost remember," he whispers, "what it was like before, when we were still Jedi, still believed we could save everyone." His eyes close. When they open again, clarity has replaced corruption briefly. We were right about the true Sith. The Emperor is still out there, still planning. You have to stop him, not with conquest. Not my way, your way, the right way. Malak dies, not in hatred, but in warning. His last act, advising his former master, providing intelligence that might save the galaxy he tried to conquer. You stand in the throne room, surrounded by freed Jedi, Bastila and Jolee recovering, the Star Forge shaking as Republic fleet bombardment damages critical systems. Through the windows, you watch ships explode, Sith fleet disintegrating, Republic forces winning through courage and sacrifice. Admiral Dodonna's flagship leads the charge. Karth's tactical advice guides smaller ships through the chaos. The Starforge itself begins to collapse, without Malak's will sustaining it. The dark side energy becomes unstable. Forges explode. Construction bays vent atmosphere. The station tears itself apart. You run, gathering everyone, racing for the Ebon Hawk. The ship is damaged, but Karth has performed miracles. Engines fire, repulsor lifts engage. The Ebon Hawk lifts from the dying station, flies through explosions and debris. The Star Forge collapses inward behind you. 20,000 years of dark side construction, undone in minutes. The structure that built Malak's empire implodes, creates a brief star of destruction, then nothing. Outside, the Republic fleet cheers. They have won. The Sith are defeated. The Jedi Civil War is over. Inside the ship, you stand with your companions, exhausted, alive. Bastila takes your hand. Her presence in the Force is warm again, healing. Thank you for not giving up on me, for showing me another way. Jolee claps you on the shoulder. You did good, not what Revan would have done. Better. Even Karth manages a smile. We won, against everything. We actually won. But you think about Malak's final words, about the true Sith Empire, about Emperor Vitiate, waiting in the unknown regions. The war is over, but the threat remains. That is a problem for tomorrow. Today you savor victory, earned not through darkness but light, not through domination but sacrifice. You chose who to become, and that choice saved the galaxy. The Ebon Hawk limps back to Lehan's surface carrying the weight of victory and the exhaustion that comes after. The battle is won, but its cost lingers in every damaged system, every scorched hull plate, every face marked by what was witnessed and survived. The Republic fleet follows. Admiral Dodonna coordinates the landing of troop transports and medical frigates. The beach where you crashed weeks ago transforms into a temporary base, tents erected, wounded tended, the organized chaos of military operations in the aftermath of war. But there is also celebration. Soldiers who expected to die instead find themselves alive and victorious. The Sith Empire, infinite and unstoppable just hours ago, has fractured without the Starforge to sustain it. Malak is dead. The Jedi Civil War, which consumed the galaxy for years, has ended not with the Republic's defeat, but its salvation. The Rakatan elders watch from the jungle's edge, their prophecy fulfilled. The Outlander came, the Starforge fell. Perhaps now their people can finally move beyond the shadow of the infinite empire. Perhaps redemption is possible, even for civilizations that once conquered galaxies. 3 days pass in recovery. The Ebon Hawk is repaired enough to fly again, though Karth swears it will never be quite the same. The dead are honored. Republic and Sith both, because whatever side they fought on, they were still people who believed in something enough to die for it. On the 4th day, as Lehan's twin sons paint the sky in shades of amber and rose, the ceremony begins. The beach has been cleared. Republic soldiers stand in formation. Jedi who survived the war gather, their numbers fewer than before, but their presence still strong. The Rakatan watch from a respectful distance, bearing witness to this moment in their sacred land. Master Vandar has come from Dantooine. The ancient Jedi moves slowly but with dignity. His eyes, old beyond measure, reflect sadness for what the war cost and hope for what peace might bring. He stands on a platform overlooking the assembled forces, and when he speaks, his voice carries despite his small stature. We gather to honor those who saved the Republic when all seemed lost, who faced darkness and chose light, who remembered that the measure of a person is not what they were, but what they choose to become. One by one, your companions are called forward. Each receives recognition for their service, for choosing to fight when they could have fled, for loyalty in the face of impossible odds. Karth Arnasi receives promotion to Admiral and assignment to rebuild Telos, the world Malak destroyed, the home Karth lost. Giving him that responsibility is both honor and healing, a chance to restore what was taken from him. Karth accepts with quiet dignity. When he looks at you, there is still pain, still memory of betrayal, but there is also acceptance, understanding that people are more than their worst moments, that redemption is possible if you work for it. Mission Vau and Zalbar are recognized for their bravery despite their youth. Mission cries, Zalbar rumbles comfort. They will stay together, continue their adventures, but they promise to visit to remember the family they found aboard a stolen ship, fleeing a dying world. Jolie Bindo refuses a medal. Typical, he has no interest in accolades or positions, but Vandar offers him something else. A place at the rebuilt Jedi Enclave, not as a master or instructor, just as himself, a Jedi who understands that the Force is bigger than any code, that wisdom comes from experience rather than dogma. Jolie considers this, then accepts. Maybe it is time to stop hiding in shadows, time to share what he learned through pain and loss so that others might avoid the same mistakes. Canderous Ordor receives the location of Mandalore's mask, hidden by Revan after the Mandalorian Wars, the symbol of leadership, without which the Mandalorian clans cannot unite. Canderous takes this responsibility seriously. He will search for scattered Mandalorians, rebuild their culture, not as conquerors, but as warriors with honor. It will take years, decades, but Canderous has time and purpose. Bastila Shan stands beside you when your turn comes. She has refused a separate ceremony. Whatever recognition you receive, she shares. The bond between you has grown beyond battle meditation into something deeper, something neither the Jedi Code nor Sith philosophy can adequately explain. Master Vandar speaks of your journey, of the soldier who woke with no past and forged a future through choices rather than destiny, of how you faced the truth of who you were and chose to be someone better, of redemption earned through action rather than granted through absolution. The medal is symbolic, a physical representation of abstract concepts. But when Vandar places it around your neck, the weight feels significant. Not the metal itself, but what it represents. Acceptance, trust. The galaxy's faith that you will continue choosing light even when darkness is easier. And then Vandar does something unexpected. He speaks of Revan, not with condemnation but with understanding. Revan made choices under impossible circumstances, saved the Republic from Mandalorian conquest, then fell trying to save it again from a threat most people still do not know exists. The Jedi Council erased Revan, not from cruelty but desperation, from belief that the ends justified the means. We were wrong, Vandar says quietly. Not wrong to stop Revan, wrong in how we did it. Violation, even with good intentions, remains violation. We owe you an apology we can never adequately give. The admission costs him. You can see it in the way his small frame seems to shrink. The Jedi do not apologize easily, do not admit error readily. That Vandar does so publicly, before the assembled forces matters. You tell him that understanding is enough, that holding on to anger serves no purpose, that you would rather build a future than dwell in the past. The ceremony ends as the sun set. The sky transforms into a canvas of purples and deep blues. Stars emerge one by one, distant and patient and eternal. That evening, you walk the beach alone. Not truly alone, because Bastila walks beside you. But the solitude is internal, time to process everything, to understand what comes next. The true Sith Empire still waits in the unknown regions. Emperor Vitiate still plans whatever dark design kept him hidden for a millennium. That threat remains. Malak's warning ensures you cannot ignore it. But that is tomorrow's problem. Tonight you are simply a person standing on a beach, watching stars emerge over an ocean older than civilizations. Tonight, peace is enough. Bastila takes your hand. The touch sends warmth through the Force bond. She does not speak because words are insufficient, but you feel her thoughts, her gratitude for being saved from darkness, her hope for a future neither of you can predict, her love, complicated by Jedi teaching, but genuine, despite that. You think about identity, about the question that has haunted you since the Leviathan's revelation. Who are you really, when two lifetimes compete for dominance? The answer comes, not as epiphany, but as acceptance. You are both and neither. Revan's memories inform you, but do not control you. The person the Jedi created has become something unique, a synthesis. Someone who learned from Revan's mistakes while keeping Revan's strengths. You are who you choose to be moment by moment. That is all anyone can claim. That is enough. The ocean whispers against the shore in rhythms unchanged for millennia. Waves approaching and retreating. Eternal dance between water and land. The sound is deeply soothing, hypnotic in its regularity. Above, the stars wheel slowly across the sky. Constellations you recognize from navigation charts. Each star a sun, perhaps hosting worlds where other stories unfold. Other people making choices between light and darkness. Other struggles for meaning in an infinite universe. The Force flows through everything. You feel it now more clearly than ever, not as a tool or weapon, as connection. The fundamental truth that all living things are part of something larger, that isolation is illusion, that every choice echoes outward in ways impossible to fully comprehend. Bastila rests her head on your shoulder, her breathing slows, peaceful. You remain still, not wanting to disturb this moment of perfect calm. In the jungle, night creatures sing, harmonies of clicks and chirps and calls, life continuing its ancient patterns, unaware of wars and empires, and the small dramas humans impose on existence. The twin moons rise, smaller than you expect, casting silver light across the water. The beach glows softly, bioluminescent organisms in the sand creating constellations that mirror the sky above. You think about all the people who brought you here, Trisk dying so you could escape the Endar Spire, Mission's loyalty, Karth's painful trust, Jolie's wisdom, everyone who chose to believe in who you could become rather than condemning who you were. That faith was not misplaced. You proved worthy of it, not through grand gestures, but through consistent choices, small decisions accumulated over months into a pattern of light. The galaxy is safe for now. The Republic survives. The Jedi endure. Peace, fragile and precious, has been won through sacrifice and courage. Tomorrow brings new challenges. The true Sith will not remain hidden forever. Other threats will emerge. The galaxy never stays peaceful for long. But tomorrow can wait. Tonight, there is only this beach, these stars, this ocean singing its eternal song, the Force flowing through all things in patterns too vast to comprehend, but simple enough to feel. Your eyes grow heavy. The exhaustion of months catching up, every battle, every choice, every moment of fear and triumph, all of it settling into your bones like sediment drifting to the ocean floor. Sleep approaches, not as escape, but as earned rest, the kind that comes after meaningful work completed, after promises kept, after choosing correctly when the wrong choice offered easier paths. Bastila sleeps against your shoulder, her breathing deep and even peaceful in a way she has not been since you met. The darkness that corrupted her is gone. What remains is simply a person, flawed, trying, worthy of love and trust. You close your eyes. The ocean's rhythm continues, waves and shore, eternal dance. The sound carries you gently towards sleep, toward dreams that for once are not haunted by forgotten memories or visions of what might have been. Just peace, simple and profound. The stars watch over Lihan, patient witnesses to all that transpired. They will remain long after you are gone, long after this moment fades into history, and then legend and finally myth. But for now, you are here, alive, victorious, at peace. And that is enough. The ocean whispers, the stars shine, the Force flows eternal. And you rest, knowing that tomorrow when you wake you will face whatever comes not as Revan, not as the Jedi's creation, but as yourself. Finally, wholly, irrevocably yourself. Sweet dreams, traveler. May the Force be with you, always.